Chapter 922. Red Devil was too stubborn. Grey Crow had no choice but to run back to Lu Chen to ask for his opinion. "Dean, what should we do if he insists on entering our academy?" Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "Do you think I can't see his potential? Sai, if he really wants to try, let him try again in 2 days." "Oh, okay." Grey Crow passed on Lu Chen's words to Red Devil. Red Devil excitedly opened his eyes wide. "Okay, when I recover, I will definitely do better than this time. Senior brother, senior sister, just you wait, I will definitely become your junior brother." Bai couldn't help but want to laugh. Don't be fooled by how arrogant this guy was at the beginning. He didn't give up so easily. Red Devil lasted for 2 minutes and 31 seconds before instantly losing. When everyone saw this, the atmosphere suddenly became lively. "Is there an array here? But I didn't find any array core. It's a bit strange. I thought that the demon guy was quite strong. In the end, he only lasted for 2.5 minutes? Sure enough, you can't judge a book by its cover." The Demonic Academy uses this kind of training method? That seems interesting. Let's give it a try. It seems that to join the Demonic Academy, other than the ridiculously expensive tuition, you must also achieve a certain result in the test. Otherwise, they won't accept you. I wonder how long I can last. Next, the people who tried the test began to line up. The second person activated Soul Body as one at the beginning and only lasted for 1 minute and 18 seconds. After that person came out, he looked as if he had benefited a lot. "Senior sister, with my results, can I join the Demonic Academy? I can pay twice the tuition." "Your results are not as good as Red Devil's. This is not a problem of the tuition. In fact, our dean said that he set the price at this level considering that newcomers don't have much money." Black Armor King said seriously, "What we want is not money, but a heart that desires to become stronger." I have it. I have a heart that desires to become stronger. This space is simply a cultivation paradise. I've been here for just over a minute, but the endless pressure made me feel like I was about to have an epiphany. If you do, why are we all newbies? You are so much worse than Red Devil, Black Armor King said, shaking his head. He's a demon. I'm a half-demon. I'm at least in the top 10 of my race. Young man, we don't care about race. As long as you're strong enough, it's fine. It seems like your top 10 isn't enough. Keep working hard. There are still many people lining up behind you. Come on, next one." The second tester walked to the recruitment point of the Demonic Academy in frustration and refused to leave for a long time. All of a sudden, people from the recruitment office began to rush towards the Demonic Academy crazily. They were not there just for show. Once they came, they could not leave. They surrounded the open space in front of the recruitment office, forming several circles of people. He tested 7 or 8 people, and only one of them took 2 minutes and 10 seconds. The other's performance was average. "Dean, you've rejected several people. Let's at least recruit a few to fill the bottom." A sea of clouds could not sit still anymore. "There's no loss in recruiting them anyway." Lu Chen shook his head. "Old C, the goal of our Demonic Academy is not just to meet the enrollment requirement. We have to participate in various competitions in the future. If the disciples are not strong, I can't be the one to compete every time. I'm just a dean. It's not good for my reputation to compete with those students every day." A sea of clouds thought about it and felt that it made sense. Looking at the current situation, it did not seem too difficult to recruit 50 people a month. The testing speed was very fast. After all, each person was done in 1 or 2 minutes. 10 million was a large number for many newbies. However, as long as they were disciples from the creation space, they did not think about money at all. They surrounded the reception desk of the recruitment office and asked about the Demonic Academy. "Senior brother, are my results really not enough to enter the academy? Please make an exception. I lasted for almost 2 minutes. Can you give me another chance?" It's so difficult. How can anyone last for more than 5 minutes? Yes, it's too difficult. I was fine in the beginning, but the difficulty increased sharply. If you were slower, I would have died in there. What do you know? This is the only way to stimulate the greatest potential. Think about it, if you can have such high-intensity training every day, how much benefit will it be to your cultivation? Senior brother, am I right? Black Armor King was so annoyed that he had to run back and ask Lu Chun, Dean, should we set a result? How long can we last to meet the requirements? They all come to ask me. I'm so annoyed. Lu Chun frowned slightly, thought for a moment, and then asked a sea of clouds, Old Sea, what do you think? How many minutes can a newbie that you're interested in last? This. Using Bai Yi's situation as a reference, I estimate that more than 5 minutes is an excellent newbie. 5 minutes? Isn't that too short? Dean, the difficulty of this creation space increases too quickly. A difference of 1 minute is like heaven and earth. You can't use yourself as the standard. Otherwise, I'm afraid our academy won't be able to continue operating. After all, we still need to recruit people. People like you are basically, not normal people. After hearing this, Lu Chun nodded heavily. It made sense. Then 6 minutes. 6 minutes. This requirement is really low. If you can't even reach 6 minutes, I won't have much interest in accepting you. 6 minutes. Okay, Dean, then I'll add this to our recruitment notice. The standard of the Demonic Academy was out. At least 6 minutes in the unique space. This way, they could spend 10 million spirit stones to enter the Demonic Academy. After the notice was posted, the group of people outside almost exploded. 6 minutes? What a joke. That's at least 1 or 2 stars for Theo the Great. Cultivation level is secondary. The key is actual combat ability. That kind of attack is to force people into a desperate situation. Without actual combat ability, what's the use of cultivation level? The requirements are too high. Those who can enter the Holy Academy may not be able to enter the Demonic Academy. But there's no such training method in the Holy Academy. I'd rather enter the Demonic Academy. No, I have to go back and study it. I must break through 6 minutes. Unknowingly, the recruitment office in front of the other academies suddenly became deserted. Occasionally, kittens and puppies would pass by. What's going on? Where is everyone? The students in charge of recruiting walked out one after another. Looking around, everyone seemed to be in the same situation. What do you mean? There's no one in front of the Holy Academy? Where did all the newbies go? While they were talking, they saw a large group of people in a secluded corner. There were at least 1,000 of them. Their side was deserted, but the other side was exploding with people. Which academy is over there? I heard that it's the Demonic Academy. They're doing a test. A person who had just inquired about the news came back and informed everyone. What's going on? The students of Xinghua Holy Academy were full of anger. The few demons that they had agreed on before actually said that they wouldn't join Xinghua and wanted to go to the Demonic Academy? Let's go and take a look. I want to see just what kind of methods this Divine Fiend Academy used to be able to pull people from our Starflower. Chapter 923. As more and more people came to take the test, some experts began to emerge. 308, 342, 425, the record was being broken again and again. The one who just took 425 was a demigod. He had long pointed ears and was communicating with the Black Armor King. I can't even get into the Demonic Academy with this result. Your result is indeed the best, but our dean said that you have to last for at least 6 minutes. That's too much. I've defeated so many experts along the way. I just came to the 6th layer of heaven and I already received invitations from 3 sacred academies. Why don't you go and take a look at those 3 academies? The other party was actually pushing him away? The demigod expert gnashed his teeth in hatred. However, it seemed that every galaxy and every race had one thing in common, which was that they were cheap. The more they rejected it, the more he wanted to enter. I've already told you, don't bully the young for being poor. Just you wait, I'll prepare for 2 days, I'll definitely break through 6 minutes. Looking at the demigod expert leaving in a huff, the Black Armor King turned back to look at the Dean sitting behind. At this time, the continuous testing made the Dean a little weak. Although he didn't need to care about the operation of the creation space, when the tester couldn't take it anymore, the Dean had to pull him back and restore the space to its original state. Logically speaking, this kind of spiritual energy consumption wasn't much, but the Dean seemed very tired. Suddenly, a warm current flowed into his heart. Unknowingly, Grey Crow came to the Black Armor King's side and looked at the Dean. Sigh, the Dean's health is really worrying. The 3 of us were so insensible at that time and fought with the Dean. Fatty, in order to develop the Divine Devil Academy, the Dean spared no effort, it's really too hard. The Black Armor King nodded. I heard Martial Uncle talking about the fight for the old site of Wunyan Academy. At that time, the Dean challenged all 20 academies alone. His body was obviously so weak, but in order to take over Wunyan's territory, he gave it his all. Just thinking about it, the Black Armor King's eyes were a little wet. If only we were there at that time, the Dean wouldn't have to shoulder everything by himself. Fatty, do you think the Dragon Rain pill will have some effect on the Dean's body? He's obviously weak and needs to be nourished. Cut the crap. Do you think the principal is like you, going around 100 Flowers Park every day? The Dean's body was weak, not his kidney. He must be injured. Look at his arm. I really can't imagine what kind of super expert could cut off the Dean's arm. Hey, what are you 2 doing? There are so many people here. You say you feel sorry for the Dean, but can't you do more work? Bai glared at the 2 of them and said fiercely. On the other side, Lu Chun felt a little better after drinking the medicine that Lu Yi had given him. In fact, using Genesis repeatedly was quite beneficial to him. After all, Genesis had just been formed. Every time he used Genesis, he would become more familiar with this skill and have a deeper understanding of it. However, the physical exhaustion was still too great. It seemed that he would be able to test another 4 or 5 people today. Boss, you have to rest well. Little Green looked at Lu Chen worriedly. Yes, I'll test a few more. I should be done by today. Lu Chen then looked at the testing area and shook his head slightly. It's a pity that I still haven't recruited anyone. A sea of clouds muttered at the side. It's all because your requirements are too high. 4 minutes. It's already not easy for a newcomer to last 4 minutes. Every extra minute increases the difficulty by several times. Just look at that demigod just now. In the past, I would have chased after him. Lu Chen laughed. Old C, today is only the first day. What's the rush? The few people who took the test later all had good results, lasting more than 3 minutes. Of course, this did not mean that the Red Fiend was weak. After all, he was impatient. The first one to take the test would always be at a disadvantage. Everyone who came out of the Genesis space was shocked. For an immortal cultivator, experiencing the feeling of being forced into a hopeless situation with their own eyes was the best training. It's more difficult than I thought. Just now, I used all my skills to the extreme. It felt like if I stopped for half a second I would die in there. This kind of high-intensity training is what I need. It can combine all of my combat skills together. This is many times better than any teacher's guidance. Senior brothers, have you been around recently? I'll come back tomorrow. I'll definitely enter your demonic academy. At this moment, the demonic academy issued a notice. After the last 5 people were tested, today's enrollment was over. Many people who did not get their turn were extremely disappointed. They all asked the demonic academy about the arrangements for the next day. At this moment, a large group of people pushed through the crowd and walked to the testing area. When the other newcomers saw the badges on their chests, they had to suppress the anger that had just risen. A few people went to look at the notice next to the testing area and read it out loud in a strange voice. If you last 10 minutes, you'll be rewarded with 10 million spirit stones. If, you last 6 minutes, you'll be qualified to join the demonic academy, lower house. The few people in the lead were all disciples of the more famous academies in the recruitment area. Star Glory Academy, Heaven Pavilion Academy, 5 Elements Academy. There were about 70 or 80 people in total. When they heard that person finish reading the notice, they sneered. I was wondering why there were so many people here. It turns out that someone put in a lot of effort. Grey Crow saw these people and walked over with a frown. Hey, what are you doing? This is the recruitment area of our demonic academy. Why don't you recruit in your own place? Why are you here? You're interfering with our normal enrollment. Bai Yi glared at these people. If you want to make trouble, we'll report you to the recruitment office immediately. You're looking for trouble, right? You can choose the place, but don't interfere with our enrollment. Black Armor King stood aside. This guy didn't look very tall sitting there. Now that he stood up, his body was as strong as that of demons, heavenly demons, and even half-orcs. He was quite sturdy. Speaking of which, these 3 people were all old disciples of the Wunyan Academy. These disciples were far less experienced than them. Of course, they were not afraid at all. Among these academies, there was only one sacred academy. Naturally, the people from Xinghua Sacred Academy became their temporary decision-makers. That person snorted coldly. Watch your tone when talking to people from Xinghua. Any one of our senior brothers can challenge your entire demonic academy. A newly established lower academy dares to be so arrogant. Of course we're not here to cause trouble. Can't we learn a little? They didn't even think of the demonic academy. They were worried about the rules of the recruitment office. Every academy here was recruiting their own. They were not allowed to cause trouble. Even Xinghua was no exception. That person rolled his eyes and suddenly said, "What kind of special space is this? Surviving for 10 minutes will reward 10 million? I don't think there's a rule that it has to be a newcomer's test." Grey Crow and the others suddenly felt their hearts tighten. Damn, when they wrote the notice, they didn't expect such a thing to happen. So they wrote it more concisely. In the end, they seemed to have found a loophole. Oh, it didn't say how many times a person can take the test. Ha 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 ha, how did you write this notice? Since that's the case, then, why don't you let us brothers earn some spirit stones? Chapter 924. The entire testing area was in an uproar. These old disciples of the academy were actually going to challenge the special space? Oh my God, wouldn't they definitely be able to pass 10 minutes if they came? This is going to bankrupt the demonic academy. Even Star China is here. Then the demonic academy is finished. Although the seniority of the people in charge of recruitment is not high, in order to show the strength of the academy to the newcomers, they are all very strong. Bai Yi was very flustered. This creation space was far weaker than the one that defeated her. The disciples of Star China Academy were very strong. Would they be able to last more than 10 minutes? There was an oversight on the notice, but fortunately, they had already announced that there would be 5 people in the final test. Thinking of this, Bai Yi hurriedly said, "We have already said that there will be 5 more tests. If you want to challenge it, you can only challenge it 5 times. In this way, even if they passed, they would lose 50 million at most. But even 50 million, for the newly established demonic academy, was enough to make the demonic academy on the verge of bankruptcy. They couldn't even afford the recruitment fees. If the dean had accepted a few people, it wouldn't have ended up like this. You guys, if you want to challenge it, you have to line up." Black Armor King found a good reason. The Star China disciple said to the newcomers, "Everyone, do you want to see who can last more than 10 minutes? If you want, then let us take the test first. This way, you can also see if their God Demon Academy is worthy of you joining. These newcomers ultimately chose the academy. So many people had taken the test before, but none of them could last more than 10 minutes. They really wanted to see if anyone could last more than 10 minutes. This senior brother, you guys go first. The newcomer in front said, we also want to see how strong 10 minutes is. Yes, you guys go first. We can also see the gap between us and the old disciples. The person behind also said. The Star China disciple smiled. Thank you. All right, this time the last move had been resolved. Now, can we begin? Gray Crow, Bai Yi, and Black Armor King's faces were extremely unnatural. They had to let these people in now. Otherwise, their reputation would be ruined, and they would not be able to recruit people in the future. Let them try. A voice suddenly came from behind. The three of them looked behind them. It was Marshal Uncle A Sea of Clouds. Uncle Master. A Sea of Clouds walked to the front of the crowd and looked at them. Our dean is also tired, so there are only 5 spots. You can make the most of it. Bai Yi, open the formation. 5 spots? Senior Yun, you want to minimize the losses, right? But it doesn't matter. 50 million is 50 million. After all, you godfiends don't have much money. With Marshal Uncle's instructions, Bai Yi finally opened the array formation. The first to go up was a disciple from Heaven Pavilion Academy. This person seemed to be the senior in charge of their recruitment this time. Thank you, Senior Brother Yen. I won't stand on ceremony then. I'll earn 10 million first. Senior Brother Lianzhan, please come to our 100 Flowers Park after you've earned enough money. Hee, don't worry, just order whatever you want. Lianzhan chuckled and walked into the creation space. In the beginning, the spirit qi in the space was thin and the circulation was slow. However, when someone came in, the circulation of the spirit qi began to accelerate. Gradually, the first sword shadow was formed. That's it? You're using this kind of trash to trick newbies? Lianzhan put his hands behind his back and easily dodged the attack. Not long after, the second sword shadow was formed. Ha, to be honest, if I wasn't in a hurry, I could stay here for as long as I wanted. In 10 seconds, 4 sword shadows appeared. At the same time, the speed of the sword shadows was faster than before. In 20 seconds, 8 sword shadows appeared. In 40 seconds there were 16 sword shadows. It was unknown if Lianzhan had heard of some trick, but he didn't take the initiative to block the sword shadows. Or maybe he looked down on the creation space and only wanted to dodge with his body, so he didn't fight back. Coincidentally, the number of sword shadows in the space did indeed slow down. However, in 1 minute and 20 seconds, there were still 32 sword shadows. At the same time, the speed of the sword shadows was very fast. As long as they were dodged, they would quickly condense again and chase after Lianzhan. At this moment, Lianzhan began to narrow his eyes. Every time he moved, a sword shadow would immediately follow. When he moved again, the sword shadow would quickly catch up. He didn't activate any status, but it was already a bit strenuous for him. Phantom Doppelganger. Lianzhan began to use his skill. His doppelganger quickly dispersed the attack of the sword shadows, and the pressure on the main body suddenly decreased. However, the doppelganger was not the main body. They began to block and even attack the sword shadows, and this immediately activated another attribute of the creation space. As long as they were attacked or blocked, the sword shadows would quickly split up. 1 became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 8. Lianzhan had just relaxed for a few seconds when he suddenly realized that the number of sword shadows around him was increasing crazily. In an instant, it had exceeded 100. This wasn't the most terrifying thing. The most terrifying thing was that the larger the base, the more terrifying the growth of the sword shadows. In the blink of an eye, 100 became 200. This time, the space became lively. Hundreds of sword shadows crazily pierced through the doppelganger. Not good, I can't block it. When Lien Zhan realized this and quickly recalled his doppelganger, it was already too late. Thousands of sword shadows, like a sword dragon, crazily chased after Lien Zhan. Damn it, why are there so many? The speed is several times faster than before. Lien Zhan's eyes were about to split open. He quickly activated Soul Body as one. Wind God Possession. Martial God Astral Body. Phantom Perplexing Step. Starry Sky Leap. This Lien Zhan was quite strong. Facing thousands of sword shadows, he managed to hold on for more than 3 minutes. In 5 minutes and 38 seconds, thousands of sword shadows shot towards Lien Zhan from all directions. Lien Zhan's body was covered in wounds. His skills and spiritual power could no longer keep up. Damn it! I can't block it. Quick, let me out. Lien Zhan's eyes were filled with despair when the sword shadows around him suddenly disappeared. A strong suction force directly pulled him out of the creation space. Lien Zhan's body was covered in wounds. Fortunately, his physical injuries were not serious, so his life was not in danger. He knelt on the ground, panting heavily. When he turned back to look at the empty space, his eyes were filled with horror. It was really too terrifying just now. The feeling of facing the Grim Reaper was hard to erase from his mind. The first few minutes, he was sightseeing. But in the last 2 minutes, he had used all he had learned in his life. Not only that, but he had also used all his battle skills, and experience to the extreme. Senior brother, what happened? A few disciples of Heaven Pavilion Academy hurried over to help Lien Zhan up. Lien Zhan's eyes widened. My God, it's too scary. Really, I feel like I've gone through a baptism. Suddenly, Lien Zhan looked at Bai Yi. Does the demonic academy really use this method to cultivate? Bai Yi looked at him with disdain. Yes, can't we? What method we use to cultivate is none of your business. No, I'm not. What I mean is that, does your academy have an exchange program? Don't all the big academies have this kind of exchange program? No. Even if there is, it won't be your turn. Grey Crow said impatiently. You can't even last 6 minutes, and you want to come and farm spiritual stones? Let me tell you, 6 minutes is the minimum requirement for new recruits. Chapter 925. The Heavenly Pavilion Academy was one of the more famous academies, but their disciple couldn't even last 6 minutes. Oh my God, he can't even last 6 minutes? Can't anyone beat him in 6 minutes? Actually, his performance is already pretty good. Did you notice that in this space, you can't resist at the beginning? Dodging is the best option. Dodging is useless. It will generate sword shadows by itself. Later on, there will be more and more of them, and you can't keep dodging. Once you resist, you won't be far from being eliminated. However, the last 1 or 2 minutes are really a great inspiration for cultivation. Even a small mistake can lead to eternal damnation. The people from the Star Glory Academy widened their eyes. Their goal was to farm spiritual stones, but Lien Zhan couldn't even last 6 minutes. Yen Su frowned. I've fought with Lien Zhan before. His strength is not much lower than mine, but Lien Zhan's doppelganger was a failure. Without the doppelganger, he should have lasted 6 minutes. Senior brother Yen, let me try. A Star Glory disciple stepped forward and was the second to enter the creation space. This time, he utilized the valuable experience he had gained from Lien Zhan to the extreme. In the beginning, he used pure dodging. After 2 minutes, there were about 100 sword shadows. When it was difficult to dodge all of them, he tried to block as few sword shadows as possible with the least cost. But even so, after 5 minutes, the number of sword shadows suddenly increased. The speed was so fast that he couldn't care about tactics at all. Soul and body as one, profession astral form, and all kinds of enhancement skills were used. Under the pursuit of the sword shadows, he was defeated. 5 minutes and 27 seconds. No, I can't hold on anymore. Let me out. Just 3 seconds. The second person didn't even last 6 minutes. His result was even worse than Lien Zhan's. How can this be? I've already delayed for a long time before I counterattacked. That person was confused. Yen Su suddenly said, I understand. Lien Zhan's doppelganger caused the sword shadows to double, but we neglected the fact that the doppelganger also shared most of the sword shadows. This is a double-edged sword. It's not necessarily better to not use the doppelganger. If you can control the doppelganger and not let them fight back, you might be able to last 6 minutes. Bai Yi listened to their serious analysis and said with disdain, You're here to mess things up? I can even hold on for 5 minutes in a space stronger than this. What, there's a space even stronger than this? Someone with sharp ears suddenly exclaimed after hearing Bai Yi's whisper. This discovery immediately caused an uproar. It can't be. Is there a space stronger than this in the demonic academy? In other words, they will constantly use a stronger space to train their disciples according to their strength. My God, then I won't have to worry about my future cultivation. The disciples of the demonic academy are so lucky. They can use such a strong training method every day. You're jealous. 10 million is really not expensive. Damn it, I've decided. I must gather 10 million in 3 days. I want to enter the demonic academy. Yen Su and the others came up with another strategy. Someone immediately volunteered. Senior brother, let me do it this time. Let me do it. Let me try this new tactic. If I succeed, you guys can go. Let me do it. You know that I'm good at using clones. I'm the senior brother. If I say I'll do it, I'll do it. Senior brother, if you say so, then it's not appropriate. Senior brother Yen didn't fight to go. Gray Crow opened his mouth and looked at these people who came to mess things up in shock. Are you kidding me? He was more serious than anyone when he analyzed how to break through. Now they are fighting to break through the space? Senior brother and junior brother almost fell out with each other. Aren't they here to mess things up? Why did things turn out like this? Speaking of which, when the dean is done resting, should he make a space for himself? The third person was Gloria Star's second senior brother. He used the strategy that everyone discussed and lasted for 5 minutes and 56 seconds. After coming out, the group cheered. Just a little bit more. What a pity. Just a little bit more and it would have been 6 minutes. That person imparted his experience and said, This time my clones shared a lot of the sword shadows. But later on, I encountered a problem. First, the clones did share the sword shadows. But later on, the sword shadows were extremely fast. Their attacks were tricky and didn't stop for a moment. Then, I couldn't control the clones, which led to the sword shadows increasing rapidly. Another problem is that after 5 minutes and 30 seconds, the sword shadows' attacks became several times sharper than before. That is a watershed. Next, you guys must pay attention to this timing. Oh, so it's like this. I was wondering why after 5 minutes and 30 seconds, Senior Brother and Lien Zhan were defeated so quickly. 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Remember, Senior Brother Yen, there are still 2 spots left. Let me go. You guys can't go alone. We have people here too. That's right. Let's at least share a chance. What are you guys arguing about? Don't you know your own strength? Even though Gloria Star is strong, I haven't seen you guys last for more than 6 minutes. What did you say? Seeing that they were arguing, Black Armor King hurried forward. Stop arguing. If you want to fight, don't fight here. Gray Crow felt as if he was living in a dream. Why were these people fighting? They had to be responsible for stopping the fight? After some discussion, they decided to send someone from another school. That person was not as strong as Lien Zhan and could only last for 5 minutes. Out of the 5 spots, there was only 1 left. This spot was reserved for Yen Su and the others had no objections. With everyone's experience, Yen Su walked into the creation's space under their expectant gazes. At first, he tried to dodge as much as possible. After that, he chose not to use his doppelgangers and used his original body to dodge quickly. 5 minutes and 30 seconds. The speed and attack of the sword shadows increased exponentially. At this time, there were hundreds of them. At this time, Yen Su activated his soul body as Wonu and used all kinds of enhancement skills to dodge crazily. 6 minutes and 8 seconds, 6 minutes and 11 seconds, 6 minutes and 15 seconds. At this time, the speed of the sword shadows splitting was very fast. With every second, the danger increased by several times. Everyone held their breath. As expected of a disciple of Glorious Star Academy. Yen Su has only been in the academy for 3 years. His abilities are far stronger than the others. Yen Su was also the focus of Glorious Star's training. It's already been 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Can he last more than 7 minutes? Yen Su was hit many times, but he still persisted. 6 minutes and 53 seconds. Yen Su finally could not withstand the sword shadows. I can't hold on anymore. I have to go out. In the end, Yen Su broke the record with a time of 6 minutes and 53 seconds. When he came out, everyone rushed forward. Senior is indeed our senior. He's too strong. The sword shadows behind him are too scary. 6 minutes and 53 seconds, 7 minutes to go. Senior is so strong. Yen Su let out a long sigh of relief. This training has really benefited me a lot. But it's also thanks to the experience that you guys have gained. Otherwise, I'm afraid I could only last for 6 minutes by myself. Black Armor King frowned and looked at Grey Crow with a puzzled expression. He saw that Grey Crow's mouth was still open. It seemed that his senior was as confused as he was. Did these people forget one thing? They were here to cause trouble. He really wanted to remind these people that they were so happy after 6 minutes? Did they forget that their goal was 10 minutes? Chapter 926. The testing area was in a mess. Many people were asking if the Demonic Academy would come tomorrow, while the people from other academies were asking if the Demonic Academy had any spots for exchange students. No one mentioned the matter of collecting spirit stones anymore. Facing the crazy crowd, Bai Yi and the others were a little overwhelmed. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Old C, that's all for today. Let's go back. Everyone looked over and saw a man with a broken arm standing up with the help of a woman in purple. He raised his hand gently, and the testing space disappeared. Is that the Dean of the Demonic Academy? He's a human and he looks so young. Is his body injured? I saw his badge just now. How come he's only a 1-star great cultivator? You must be mistaken. The disciples of the Demonic Academy are at least 5-star earth cultivators. How can the Dean only be a great cultivator? A sea of clouds and the others hurriedly followed. Dean, are we not going to accept the things? No need. I've rented this place for a month, and the other academies didn't accept it either. No one will take it. Let's go back. I'm hungry. After returning to the Demonic Academy, Lu Yi made a few simple dishes. There were 5 teachers and students in the academy, plus Xiao Min and Little Green, making a total of 7 people. After the meal, the youngest Black Armor King was called to wash the dishes. After returning, everyone sat in the training field and chatted leisurely. Dean, it's a pity that we didn't recruit anyone today. Isn't the 6-minute requirement too high for newcomers? Bai Yi said, the disciples who came for the test have been in the academy for a few years, and only Yen Su passed the 6-minute mark. Yes, Dean. I understand that you want to find those genius disciples, but no matter which academy it is, it's impossible for all of them to be geniuses, a sea of clouds said. Our requirement is actually much higher than that of the sacred institution. Lu Chen shook his head and looked at the stars in the sky. There are countless prosperous source continents in the 6th heaven, and our current location can only be considered a corner of the prosperous source continent. Lu Chen looked at the others. This is only the first day. Actually, we've already exceeded our target today. Didn't I recruit the three of you? As for the others, I believe that a terrifying heaven domain like the sixth heaven will not disappoint me. To Lu Chen, the sixth celestial layer was indeed the most terrifying. He had been unlucky all the way until now. By the way, Old Hai, what exactly is it in the holy courtyard of Wu Nian that causes you to get worse year after year? Lu Chen suddenly asked. At the mention of this question, the others all lowered their heads, as if they were thinking of the Wunian Academy of the past. A sea of clouds looked at Lu Chen in surprise. Dean, there are some things that should be said in private. Lu Chen suddenly understood. Other than him and a sea of clouds, there were only 3 disciples here. It was not convenient to talk about it now, which meant that Grey Crow and the others did not know much about that thing. Even the holy courtyard of Wu Nian might have hidden something from the disciples in the past. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said, "We're all on the same side, so there's no harm in saying it. I'll bear the consequences." A sea of clouds looked at Bai Yi and the others. These 3 disciples were loyal to the holy courtyard of Wu Nian, so they indeed had the right to know about that matter. With a long sigh, a sea of clouds said, "Actually, about 300 years ago, the spirit veins of the academy suddenly changed. After that thing appeared, it needed to absorb a lot of spirit energy." Absorb spirit energy? Lu Chen frowned. A sea of clouds was not surprised by Lu Chen's reaction and continued, "The reason why so many people fight for the location of the academy is not because of these buildings. These buildings can be built as many as they want. The most important thing is that each academy has its own spirit veins. In other words, when the academy was built, it was built according to the location of the spirit veins. The strength of the spirit veins of the holy courtyard of Wu Nian has always been ranked in the top 3 of the Xinyuan continent. However, since more than 300 years ago, the spirit energy emitted by the spirit veins has weakened. Not only that, as long as the cultivation speed of the students slows down, there will even be a phenomenon of level regression." Bai Yi asked curiously, "Uncle, can our broken spirit veins be ranked in the top 3 of the Xinyuan continent? When I came to the holy courtyard of Wu Nian in the past, I remember that the academy always talked about the strength of the teachers and the inheritance of the academy. They did not say that we have a strong spirit vein. Also, level regression? How come we don't know about it?" A sea of clouds said, "You don't know about these things either. Listen to me first. The former dean told me that there is something lurking in the academy. It is quietly stealing the spirit veins and the spirit energy of the students. When this incident first happened, many of the students showed signs of level regression." A sea of clouds continued, "Logically speaking, after the spirit core breaks through, our cultivation level will increase. However, if the spirit core is empty and there is something absorbing the spirit energy of the spirit core at this time, then it will cause the consolidated spirit core to weaken, and regress. There will be a level regression. However, under normal circumstances, to cause a level regression, it requires an extremely terrifying power. This is a subversive spirit core reversal. Other than the holy courtyard of Wu Nian, I have never heard of such a situation happening anywhere else." Lu Chen frowned. "That was to say, that thing was very strong. People from Zhongxiangu also came to take a look, but they only sealed our backyard and provided a few temporary spirit sources to disguise as new spirit veins. After the seal, the student's level will no longer regress. However, for some reason, the effect of the new spirit sources is far lower than expected. The student's cultivation speed is still seriously affected. For a long time, the holy courtyard of Wu Nian, which was originally very strong, became weaker year by year. We thought of many ways to find more spirit sources to supplement the artificial spirit veins. The teachers taught the students more wholeheartedly. In the beginning, the situation of the holy courtyard of Wunyan could barely be maintained, but in recent years, that thing seems to be getting more and more restless. Our artificial spirit veins can't support it anymore. The students' cultivation progress is getting slower and slower. After saying that, a sea of clouds looked at by Grey Crow and Black Armor King. Children, in fact, you are unlucky. Otherwise, with your talent, if you were in the previous holy courtyard of Wunyan, your level would be at least 2 levels higher than it is now. The ones who were the most affected were not Lu Chen, but Grey Crow and the other 2. The 3 of them were silent. It was also the first time they heard about the secret past of the holy courtyard of Wunyan. After being in the holy courtyard of Wunyan for decades, they knew that there was something strange in the holy courtyard of Wunyan that hindered cultivation, but only now did they know that the thing was actually so strong. Even the people from Zhongxiangu couldn't do anything about it. The holy courtyard of Wunyan had one of the top 3 spirit veins in Xinyuan continent, and they had been using artificial spirit veins all this time. After a long time, Grey Crow raised his head. Uncle, actually, we also know some things, but we didn't expect it to be so serious. Black Armor King sighed. If we don't solve this problem, it's useless no matter how many new people we recruit. A sea of clouds looked at the 3 of them in surprise. After hearing this, don't you want to leave the demonic academy? Bai Yi smiled and shook her head. Uncle, we can understand why the academy hid this from us. Besides, we have been in the academy for so long, how could we not know anything about it? In the past, there were various versions of rumors in the academy, but we didn't expect the actual situation to be more terrible than those exaggerated rumors. Since we have already heard about it, but we are still willing to stay, it means that we are already mentally prepared. This time, we must take back the holy courtyard of Wunyan. No, the demonic academy's spirit veins. Lu Chen looked at the 3 of them with a smile. He had to admit that he liked these 3 little guys more and more. Chapter 9:27. Lu Chen inquired about the location of the main spirit vein. The spirit vein of Wunyan Academy was in the backyard and had long been sealed. This time when Wunyan closed down, that area would be the last to be unsealed. Old C, can the artificial spirit veins still be used? Well, the artificial spirit vein was already very weak before, but the academy has been sealed for half a year, so it should have gathered a lot of spirit energy. In addition, there are very few disciples in the early stage, so it should be able to hold on for a while. A sea of clouds pondered and said, I just hope that thing won't wake up with us. That thing is sleeping now? Lu Chen asked. Since there's no one here, the artificial spirit vein has been sealed, and it hasn't moved much. Lu Chen nodded. This was good news. Old C, where do we get the spirit source? If we unseal the artificial spirit vein, we need a lot of spirit source to support it. There are several ways. One is to go to the major demon areas, such as the ominous demon sea, hunt monsters, and take the spirit pills, and refine them with the refining array. I can arrange the refining array, but the key is to have a strong enough demon spirit pill. Another way is that after the academy's ranking, Zhongxiangu will give some magic weapons. Those things will last longer as a spirit source. Lu Chen nodded. It would be easy to get a new spirit source. Well, in that case, let's open the academy first in the new stage. Unseal the scripture pavilion, the tool pavilion, the cultivation room, and so on. As for the things that absorb spirit energy, you don't have to think about it. I'll find a way to deal with it. Bai Yi suddenly said, Dean, during today's enrollment, they all want to go to the creation space to cultivate. Should we also arrange a few in the academy? When the newcomers come, they won't be idle. Lu Chen nodded. I also thought of it, but I need to improve it. Otherwise, I have to open and close it myself every time, and I can't split myself. It's getting late, everyone has been busy all day, let's go back and rest today. Yes, Dean. Bai Yi, you stay. Bai Yi was a little surprised, but she still stayed. On the martial arts field, only Lu Chen and Bai Yi were left. Dean, why did you ask me to stay? You're a talisman master, and I'm not good at talisman techniques, so I want to ask if you can use a talisman paper to store a certain process of my spiritual power control. Lu Chen said. He knew that there were some talisman techniques that could be used as skills. Since it was a skill, it meant that the talisman paper stored a whole set of spiritual power flow processes. Dean, you want to use the talisman paper to control the creation space? Bai Yi was also very smart and immediately understood Lu Chen's idea. If it's opened, I don't think the talisman paper can do it. The main thing is to control the creation space to return to its initial state. If I can do this, as long as I open the space there, I won't need to guard it at all times. Dean, it's completely possible. However, he had to test the grade of talisman paper first. The talisman paper has a total of 4 major levels: heaven, earth, black, and yellow. Each level has 9 minor levels. With the complexity and strength of the Dean's technique, I estimate that the black level talisman paper should be able to record the changes in his spiritual energy. Let's try the level 5 black level talisman paper first. Alright. Not long after, Bai Yi was sweating profusely. The level 5 black level talisman paper could not record the process of Lu Chen's spiritual power control. The Dean controls it very easily. It should not have any attack power, but why is it so complicated? You need to use spiritual energy. Lu Chen reminded her. Spiritual energy. Bai Yi's eyes widened. I don't know what talisman paper to use. Then, let's try the earth level. The earth level talisman paper finally recorded the process of restoring the creation space. A simple restoration actually needs the earth level talisman paper, then if it's opened, I'm afraid it needs a higher level talisman paper. Bai Yi couldn't help shaking her head. Lu Chen also breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't care what level of talisman paper his skill needed. Anyway, with this talisman paper, in the future, when others tested, the disciples could use the talisman paper to control the creation space. How much is the earth-level talisman paper? The talisman paper is not expensive, only tens of thousands of spirit stones. And I have more than 100 on me. These will be reimbursed by the Academy. We will make a few more sets. Tomorrow you will be the main control. I will watch from the side for a few days, and then I will hand it over to you. Lu Chen was busy making talismans, and many of the surrounding academies, the departments in charge of enrollment, were holding emergency meetings. The number of interested newcomers recruited today was pitifully small. You said that all the newcomers today went to the Demonic Academy? They created a special space to attract all the newcomers? This Demonic Academy has just been established not long ago, but there are quite a lot of tricks. Don't they know that the Demonic Academy has just been established? And 10 million in tuition fees. What a joke. Master, those newcomers don't care about this at all. As long as they pass the test, they are all sharpening their brains to enter the Demonic Academy. That special space is so magical? Even Gloria Star's Yen Su only lasted for 6 minutes? Senior brother, Yen Su only lasted for 6 minutes. Originally, we wanted to hold on for 10 minutes and let them bleed, but who knew that the space was so difficult? Humph, that's because you're incompetent. I'll go over tomorrow to take a look. The newly established academy is already riding on our heads. If the sect leader knows about our enrollment today, even Master will be scolded. Yes, senior brother, in a remote inn. Although it was remote, almost all the residents were staying there. Many newcomers who had not yet joined the academy would choose to stay in such a cheap inn for the time being. Have you heard about the Demonic Academy? If you can last for 10 minutes, the reward is 10 million. With this money, you won't have to worry about tuition fees. Of course I've heard, but it's almost impossible to earn 10 million. It's said that no newcomer can last for more than 6 minutes. They can't even meet the admission requirements of the demonic academy, so how can they earn spirit stones? It seems that even the senior disciples of the glorious Star Academy only lasted for less than 7 minutes. As long as people come out from there, they say that they have benefited a lot. I'm really curious what kind of training method it is. I want to go to that area tomorrow to take a look. At this time, a young man sitting in the corner stood up and walked to their table. Friends, can I sit here? Those people sized up the young man. He was a human and had a calm temperament. His clothes were exquisite, and he was quite handsome and had an extraordinary bearing. The badge on his chest was surrounded by spiritual energy, and it was impossible to see his level. Sure, you're all newcomers. Those dwarfs laughed. After that person sat down, he ordered a few pots of wine and shared it with these people. My surname is Xiao. Thank you for not disliking me. To be honest, I'm also worried about which academy to join. Today, I heard many people talking about the demonic academy. I don't know what happened that made so many people so interested in this academy. Brother Xiaozhan is also a straightforward person. Why don't you know about the special space of the demonic academy? Let us tell you. Chapter 928. The next day, Lu Chen brought the people of the demonic academy to the recruitment area. From afar, he could see that the recruitment area of the demonic academy was full of people. Why are there so many people? Lu Chen was a bit surprised. The number of people here was several times more than usual. Maybe the news has spread. A sea of clouds said, many newcomers will stay in cheaper inns, and they will exchange information with each other. Although Lu Chen was also a newcomer, his experience was different from others. Others could find a remote inn where newcomers gathered, but he was too far away and stayed on a deserted island for a month. There's such a place. Lu Chen shook his head. Forget it, he couldn't be a newcomer now anyway. With the control talisman, the testing could be handed over to Bai Yi and the others. Lu Chen only needed to watch a little. Soon, the testing would begin. Line up. Newcomers who are confident that they can take more than 6 minutes and intend to enter the demonic academy, come to me to register first. The space is our demonic academy's testing program. We will arrange for such people to take the test first. Black Armor King shouted from the side. There were too many people, and Bai Yi only made more than 100 control talismans. It was impossible for everyone to have a chance to take the test. Naturally, they would choose those who were likely to enter the academy first. Soon, a large group of people rushed to Black Armor King's door. Senior brother, can you pay your tuition fee in batches? Senior brother, I just heard that your training program is very magical. Can you give it a try before deciding whether to join the demonic academy? Senior brother, is the requirement still 6 minutes? I want to join your academy, but this requirement is too difficult. Even the senior disciples of Starlight couldn't handle it. As soon as they arrived, Black Armor King was a bit overwhelmed. Grey Crow hurried to help. Even a sea of clouds couldn't sit still and ran to the front to preside over the situation. Lu Chen sat in the booth, drinking nourishing tea. He narrowed his eyes slightly and observed these newcomers. He didn't know if he could recruit a satisfactory student today. The scene in the testing area was a bit chaotic. There were too few people in the demonic academy. Facing thousands of questions, the 3 heroes were almost drowned in the sea of people. At this moment, a sea of clouds suddenly shouted, "Shut up!" As he spoke, a sea of clouds burst out with a burst of strong spiritual energy, instantly suppressing the audience. Is that Senior A Sea of Clouds? It's him. He was originally the dean of the Wunyan Academy. Later, he joined the Demonic Academy and became a mentor. When I inquired about the Demonic Academy before, those old foundations would mention him. Dean Thoughtless, a mentor who's willing to become a godfiend. What's the background of this demonic academy? Seeing that the people around him had quieted down, a sea of clouds said, I can understand your feelings, but nothing can be accomplished without rules. As you can see, there are many people here, so we still need to maintain order. Regardless of whether it is a consultation or a test, please line up properly. In addition, let's not waste time. Let the testing space start running first. Let me ask first, is there anyone who is confident that they can exceed 6 minutes? Whether you want to become a godfiend or not, and whether you have enough tuition fees, if you have, you can come to me first. After all, a sea of clouds was the old dean. As long as the creation space started running, he could provide a reference for those who hadn't seen the power of the creation space before. At the same time, it would attract a large number of people. Naturally, the pressure on the 3 heroes would be reduced a lot. I want to give it a try. In the crowd, a middle-aged man who looked like a human walked out and clasped his hands to a sea of clouds. Greetings, Senior A Sea of Clouds. I'm 1-star Emperor Shio, and I've fought countless battles before. May I have the courage to give it a try? However, whether I want to join the demonic academy or not, I want to give it a try first before deciding. A Sea of Clouds smiled slightly. This man was tall and straight and had an extraordinary bearing. Moreover, his strength was very rare among the newcomers. It was no exaggeration to say that any sacred academy would fight to recruit him. Although he wasn't young, on the path of cultivation, there wasn't much difference between a few decades and a teenager. This man's attitude was modest. This kind of person often hid his strength. A Sea of Clouds smiled and said, the reason why you didn't line up is probably because you're not sure whether you want to join the demonic academy or not. It doesn't matter. Just now, my request didn't say that you must join the demonic academy. Today, you will be the first to pass the test. Thank you, Senior A Sea of Clouds. In the distance, Lu Chen also noticed this man. 1-star Emperor Shio. If he was in the 5th heaven where I was, he would be equivalent to the level of the ancient god of war. However, Lu Chen didn't know how his actual combat ability was. He was also looking forward to his performance. When this man entered the creation space, as expected, many people's attention was diverted, and they began to watch him pass the test. As soon as this man entered the space, he displayed an extraordinary ability to adapt. When facing the first sword shadow, he didn't seem to know in advance that there would be a knock on the door. He raised the long spear in his hand and blocked it. Then, when he saw the sword shadow quickly split up, he immediately changed his tactics and only dodged. Lu Chen nodded slightly. This man's on-the-spot reaction and judgment were all top-notch. He said that he had experienced countless battles, so it should be true. As the saying goes, once an expert makes a move, the truth will be revealed. A Sea of Clouds' eyes also began to shine. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At this time, he activated soul-body unification and continued to dodge the sword shadows quickly. It's been more than 3 minutes, and he can still dodge the sword shadows' attacks? This guy is so strong. His speed is so fast. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 30 seconds. At this time, the number of sword shadows had reached hundreds, and their speed had increased sharply. The sword shadows stabbed from all directions. Even though this man's body technique was quite exquisite, his body was already scratched in many places. His expression finally began to become serious. This small space is actually so magical. The sword shadow's attacks are endless. Damn it, I was careless. At this time, he could no longer use displacement to completely avoid the attacks. He had to start using skills to block and resist. As a result, the sword shadows grew faster all of a sudden. The intensity of these 20 seconds was even higher than the previous 5 minutes combined. Search Dragon Burrow. The man left an afterimage on the spot, and his figure shot straight to the ground from midair. But at this time, A large number of sword shadows suddenly condensed from the ground and shot toward him. Is there really no place to hide? Killing Luosec. For rock layers and earth walls were suddenly erected around him, blocking a large number of sword shadows. However, within the killing Rakshasa sect, more sword shadows were rapidly forming. Damn it, these sword shadows are really everywhere. 3,000 worlds. Then, his figure directly disappeared on the spot. Oh my god, what skill is this? Teleportation or displacement. How can he disappear into thin air? People looked at the space in surprise. With this skill, wouldn't he pass the test? However, the thousands of sword shadows didn't stop. They began to madly attack a certain point in the space. Just 10 seconds later, a figure seemed to jump out from the void and suddenly flashed out from another place. After flashing out, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. When he wanted to stand up, his legs went soft and he couldn't stand up. He can actually find my position. How is this possible? I just reached the 6th layer of heaven, and I already encountered a space that even I can't deal with. This time, facing thousands of sword shadows, a hint of anger flashed through his eyes. Should he use that move? In the end, he still gave up. I give up. The thousands of sword shadows suddenly disappeared. That person walked out of the space, trembling. 7 minutes 22 seconds. Oh my god, his result is even higher than Yen Su's. This guy is definitely a top-level genius. He really is strong. In the first 5 minutes, I almost thought that he would last for 10 minutes. I wonder if Immortal Academy will want this kind of person. That person walked out of the testing area, turned around, and looked at the testing area that had returned to normal. He took a deep breath. Young man, you really didn't disappoint me. 7 minutes 22 seconds is already the best result so far, said a sea of clouds with a smile. I wonder if you are now willing to join our demonic academy? Chapter 929. That person raised his head. Senior AC of Clouds, may I ask, is there really a place with a higher intensity than this testing space in your esteemed academy? Yes. A sea of clouds said with certainty. That person nodded solemnly and pondered for a long time. The Demonic Academy, a newly established academy with weak spirit veins, and only a few of you are in the academy? That's right. Is the dean of your esteemed academy really only a 1-star great cultivator? And a broken arm at that? A sea of clouds paused. This guy seemed to have investigated the Demonic Academy. His questions were getting sharper and sharper, and he even asked about the dean's situation in the end. How should he answer this question? If he told the truth, he was afraid that many newcomers who wanted to join the Demonic Academy would give up. He didn't doubt Lu Chen's strength, but the dean's level was really too low. In the entire 6th heaven, it was difficult to find anyone below the Earth Cultivator level, and he had just barely reached the level of a great cultivator. This guy was a first-timer, and he would have a great impact on those who would follow. After thinking about it, a sea of clouds finally decided to tell the truth. That's right. A hint of disappointment flashed in that person's eyes, and then he said, "This junior's question is a bit abrupt, but the 6th heaven is a holy land for cultivation, and which academy to join is very important to us." A sea of clouds wasn't angry at all and smiled slightly. To be able to take this matter so seriously, it shows that you are not someone who is willing to be ordinary. It doesn't matter whether you choose to join the Demonic Academy or not. I believe that you will definitely shine in the 6th heaven in the future. That person looked at a sea of clouds in surprise. To be honest, cultivation resources and spirit veins were important, but to him, they didn't play a decisive role. Instead, he was most concerned about the mentor's character and strength. There didn't seem to be many people who had the ability to teach him. It was true that the testing space was mysterious, but he could not rule out the possibility that the principal had obtained some kind of fortuitous encounter and obtained a powerful artifact. He did not believe that a one-star great cultivator could teach him well. Suddenly, the man looked up at a sea of clouds. "If I may be so bold as to ask, Senior A Sea of Clouds, why are you willing to be a teacher in the demonic academy? Is it because you can't forget the Academy of Wunyan?" Many people could not help but look at a sea of clouds. The rumors in the room said that a sea of clouds was reluctant to part with intentionless academy, but no one had ever heard a sea of clouds say this personally. A sea of clouds was stunned for a moment, then smiled. "Young man, you're wrong." Was that not the case? With the level of Senior A Sea of Clouds, you're many times stronger than the principal of the demonic academy. A sea of clouds laughed. "I know that you look down on the principal and think that he's just opportunistic, but what I want to tell you is that the principal of the demonic academy is the person I admire the most. You all know that he has a broken arm and his physical body is permanently damaged, but you don't know that his body is many times weaker than you think. He has an old illness and needs to take medicine every day. Perhaps even he himself doesn't know that every time he fights, he'll be so tired that he'll be covered in sweat and his face will be pale. However, it was such a person who came to me a week before the battle for the old site of the Academy of Wunyan and told me that he would take the old site of the Academy of Wunyan. At that time, I thought I was drunk. Ha ha ha. A crippled one-star great cultivator said that he would take the old site of the Academy of Wunyan? If it were you, you wouldn't believe it either. However, a week later, he really relied on his own strength to take the old site from the hands of the 20 great academies, including the 2 top 10 sacred academies in Xinyuan continent, Numinous Sky and North Pole. He forcibly took the old site of the Academy of Wunyan. From then on, I decided to follow him. The Divine Magic Academy is indeed very weak right now, and many places are even sealed, but you have to think clearly about what kind of principal there is, what kind of academy there is, and what kind of academy there is, what kind of disciple there is. If you want to go against the heavens, come to our demonic academy. A sea of clouds' chicken soup for the soul made the blood of many newcomers boil. Lu Chen, who was at the back, almost spat out the medicine in his mouth. As expected of the old principal, he was also good at mobilizing people. He really wanted to tell everyone loudly that he was only here to look for treasure. Maybe if he found the treasure, he would give the principal to someone else and run away himself. If he was placed so high up now, how would he run away in the future? Damn it, old C, if you want to recruit people, then recruit people. What are you doing? Louis looked at Lu Chen's lifeless face and couldn't help but snicker. Boss, how did being weak and sickly become your advantage? Lu Chen shook his head. In the past, he was a weak jackalen, and it wasn't easy for him to break into the 6th heaven. Now, he was a weak principal on the other side. The challenger cupped his fists and said to a sea of clouds, "This junior understands. I'm Chu Tian, and I'm willing to join the demonic academy. But can the tuition fee be delayed for 2 days? 10 million is really not a small amount. I still want to borrow." Upon hearing that someone wanted to borrow money, the Black Armor King immediately ran over. "Isn't it just spirit stones? Come, I have some here. How much do you need?" 6 million. The cost of the 6th heaven is too high. 10 million, you need 6 million. Are you trying to empty my pockets? Why are the geniuses so miserable? Sigh, it seems that I'm not a genius, it's because I'm too rich. The Black Armor King was also speechless. This 10% interest, I'll help you pay 6 million, how about that? Compound interest. I'm not that greedy. It's just simple interest. I can pay you back the principal first. That person hesitated for a moment and said, "Okay. I'm Chu Tian, thank you, senior brother." "Junior brother Chu Tian, let's go. I'll bring you to register." Lu Chen immediately sat up. Today was a good start. The first person to take the test was going to join the Demonic Academy. Although there were only 4 of them, all 4 of them were very powerful. If it was beneficial to the recruitment of students, then it was not impossible to spread the story of him being weak and sickly, which was a touching and inspirational story. Chu Tian immediately paid the tuition fee. After all, most of the money didn't belong to him. Then, the Black Armor King brought him to Lu Chen. "Brother Chu, this is our principal." Chu Tian looked at Lu Chen. This was the 1-star cultivator that even a sea of clouds highly praised? Sure enough, he looked very weak. "Greetings to the principal." Lu Chen stood up and nodded to Chu Tian. "Your performance just now was very good." Chu Tian suddenly asked, "Principal, may I ask, how can one survive for more than 10 minutes in this space? If your goal is to survive for a bit longer, then you need to resist for the last few minutes." Lu Chen directly replied. "Resist?" Chu Tian suddenly froze. "Yes, even if you can completely avoid it, after 7 or 8 minutes, the sword shadows in this space will make it impossible for you to escape. At that time, you need to resist the sword shadows." What the principal said is true, but can anyone withstand such a fierce attack? At this moment, there was a sudden commotion in the testing area. When Chu Tian was doing all kinds of procedures, the test over there didn't stop. The previous few people's results were average, about 4 or 5 minutes. But now, this person's result had broken Chu Tian's record. Lu Chen smiled and said to Chu Tian, "Let's see that person's performance first." Chapter 930. At this time, in the space, a young man's red spiritual power suddenly burst out, his long hair flying, his eyes blood-red. This guy's spiritual power is so strong. What level is he? He specializes in fire attribute elements, but is he going to resist? There are too many sword shadows, it's useless to dodge at this time, he must resist. The key is to see how long he can resist. It's almost 8 minutes now. The people watching the test have been nervous. Can this guy create a miracle? The result of resisting the sword shadows is that the growth rate of the sword shadows will increase exponentially. Raging flame burst. True burning fire. With a boom, the whole space was suddenly filled with terrifying waves of fire. On this side, Bai Yi suddenly opened her eyes. Damn, this kid's spiritual power is so strong, the array can't hold him anymore. Outside the creation space, there is another layer of array, which is Bai Yi's responsibility. Before, the dean said that there is no need for a powerful array outside the creation space. He will control the space to not expand outwards. But now it seems that the kid in the space is too abnormal, just in case. The creation space can't instantly digest his eruption of spiritual energy. Bai Yi directly opened the soul-body fusion to stabilize the array. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. If Chu Tian was a 1 in 100 genius, then that brat in the array was 1 in 10,000. This guy's fire attribute spiritual energy is too overbearing. Of course, Lu Chen didn't know that Chu Tian still had a trick up his sleeve. At the last moment, this kid directly gave up trying to reach the 10 minutes mark. On the side, Chu Tian slightly narrowed his eyes. The kid in the space is really strong. If the two fight, I'm afraid it will be an unprecedented fierce battle. So this is what the dean said, the best defense is to attack. The dean hopes that he can join the Demonic Academy. Chu Tian suddenly said. And? Lu Chen was a little surprised. If I can compare notes with this kind of fellow apprentice, I'm afraid the effect will not lose to the training in the special space. Lu Chen can understand this feeling. He also longed to meet a strong person, but along the way, his friends have been desperately trying to catch up, but the pursuit is getting farther and farther away. These newcomers are worthy of being geniuses. Each and every one of them is proud and arrogant. From the longing in Chu Tian's eyes, Lu Chen had a feeling that Chu Tian was not weak at all in the end. The person who took the test lasted for 9 minutes and 17 seconds. The fierce fire elemental attack indeed lasted for a moment, but what followed was an unimaginable number of sword shadows that intertwined with the flames, filling the entire space. After coming out of the space, the man was panting heavily. His whole body was drenched in sweat and blood. This space is indeed extremely mysterious. Senior sister, I want to join your demonic academy. Bai finally breathed a sigh of relief. First of all, this kid didn't destroy the safety array. Second of all, such a rare genius was going to join the demonic academy without hesitation. At this moment, a few people squeezed through the crowd and walked up to that person. Brother Xiao, are you really going to join the demonic academy? Immortal Academy's invitation letter has already arrived. That's right, old Xiao. Didn't we agree to make a name for ourselves in the sixth heaven? Xiao Zhan, don't you already know about the demonic academy situation? It can be said that apart from this training space, there is nothing good about it. Bai Yi was not happy after hearing this. Hey kid, what are you talking about? What do you mean by nothing good? The person who came was Xiao Zhan. As soon as he came to the sixth heaven, some immortal academies were already trying to snatch him away. Xiao Zhan cupped his fists and apologized to Bai Yi. Senior sister, please don't blame them. My friends are just outspoken. Hey, old Jiu, from now on I am a member of the demonic academy. Who are you looking down on? Old Xiao Yu. Aya, you have been smart all your life, but why are you so stupid now? How can the resources of Immortal Academy be compared to a small lower academy? Their president is only a one-star great cultivator. You are fighting those above your level every day. How can you be willing to enter such an academy? Xiao Zhan shook his head and smiled. Old Jiu, do you know what this space is? How would I know? Is it a magical treasure skill? No, this is a status skill. This is a status skill. Old Jiu's eyes widened. Xiao Zhan nodded and said, in the sixth heaven, it is not strange for someone to grasp a status skill. However, it is from a one-star great cultivator. If the president was a human king, I wouldn't care. However, a one-star great cultivator can comprehend a status skill. Just based on this point, I think he must be outstanding. You guys, don't talk about Immortal Academy all day long. Xiao Zhan said earnestly. Didn't we also walk from the bottom to the top? The Demonic Academy is now in its early stages. It is the best time for us to show our great ambitions. Immortal Academy, Sacred Academy, and Lower Academy, in my eyes, there is no difference. Xiao Zhan was indeed Xiao Zhan. He was so confident. Those people and Xiao Zhan had been through life and death situations together. After hearing Xiao Zhan's bold words, they were finally sure that this kid did not enter the Demonic God Academy on a whim. Boss is right. Among the 5 of us, I, Startled Lion, will also try this legendary status skill. Old Xiao, wait for me. Although I can't last 9 minutes, I can still pass 6 minutes. Alright. I really admire you guys. Startled Lion, hurry up. Once you finish, I will do it. Xiao Zhan's friends were also quite strong. As expected, they all lasted 6 to 7 minutes. After passing the test, the 5 of them went to the recruitment area under the lead of the Black Armor King. Greetings, senior brother Chu Tian. Xiao Zhan greeted Chu Tian. Chu Tian returned the greeting. Calling me senior brother makes me feel ashamed. I am just a step early. Congratulations to junior brothers and sisters for passing the test. From now on, we are all on the same side. One of Chu Tian's strengths was that although he was arrogant, he was humble and courteous. He was indeed very suitable to be a senior brother. A step early is still early. In the future, I hope senior brother can teach me more. You flatter me. However, from now on, we are all from the same sect. I also look forward to learning from brother Xiao Zhan. Come, greet the dean first. After that, Xiao Zhan carefully looked at Lu Chen. As expected, he only had one arm. He didn't look very energetic. The Starfield Grand Cultivator on his chest was very eye-catching. "Greetings, Dean." Lu Chen nodded in satisfaction. "Your performance was very good. Come in and rest." "Dean, we are not tired. The Demonic Academy is lacking manpower right now. We are going to help our senior brothers and sisters maintain order," Xiao Zhan said. For a genius like Xiao Zhan, adapting to a new environment was very easy. They immediately integrated into the Demonic Academy's environment. Chu Tian suddenly asked, "Dean, this disciple has something he doesn't understand." "And? What is it?" "Dean, junior brother Zhao's strength is shocking. I believe that such an expert will appear in the future. A mountain cannot hold two tigers. When the time comes, there will be a lot of fighting." Lu Chen smiled. "What about you? Do you normally go find trouble with Xiao Zhan?" "Dean, Chu Tian won't," Chu Tian said indifferently. "I only want to become stronger. Since I have entered the Demonic Academy, in my eyes, I am one of them. If anyone dares to provoke junior brother Xiao outside, I will help them get back their face." Lu Chen smiled. "In my opinion, a genius with real strength is actually very low-key. Even if they are confident, they don't like to take the initiative to bully others. It's just that many times, others don't understand and only think that geniuses are arrogant." Chu Tian was stunned. The dean had simply spoken his mind. "The only one who knows me is the dean. Moreover, don't you still have me in the academy?" This sentence made Chu Tian stunned. The dean said it so naturally, as if he had casually said it. However, the speaker didn't mean it, but the listener took it seriously. The dean meant that he had the strength to suppress all the geniuses? Chapter 931. The Demonic Academy only ended today's enrollment in the evening. Today, the Demonic Academy recruited a total of 14 new disciples. More than a dozen people had already signed up. They just needed a few days to prepare the tuition fees. Lu Chen asked Bai Yi and the others to buy a lot of good wine and food. When they returned to Intentionless Mountain, they prepared a table full of food. A sea of clouds, the three heroes Chu Tian, Xiao Zhan, and the others gathered around a large table. Other academies had their own dining hall, but the Demonic Academy had Lu Chen personally cooking. A group of people sat around a large round table and ate in the open air of the martial arts arena. "Don't say, eating like this is quite enjoyable," Old Wine whispered. "Yes, the director's cooking is also very good." Bai Yi poured wine for the newcomers. "There are few people now, so the conditions are not good. Everyone, make do with it." "Thank you, senior sister. Actually, we don't care about the environment. Being able to learn real skills is the most important thing." "Thank you, senior sister. To be honest, I haven't had a good meal like this since I reached level 5. To be able to achieve achievements that others envied, these people had gone through more tests than others in the past." At the table, the new disciples gradually became familiar with each other. After eating and drinking, Lu Chen gave instructions on the academy's matters. "The academy has just been established, so many areas have not been opened yet." Lu Chen said, "Usually, you can train in the martial arts arena using the creation space. Remember, when you cultivate, you must bring in the control talisman. Now, most of our energy is on enrollment. There is a limited number of control talismans. For the time being, each person will be given one every day. Director, we don't have to train these few days. Let's go to the recruitment area to help. There are too many people who need to be tested. Senior brothers and sisters are a little busy." Yes. Since we have joined the Demonic Academy, we are part of the Divine and Demon Academy. Leave these trivial matters to us. Lu Chen smiled. "That's good. Come with us tomorrow." A sea of clouds suddenly said, "Director, a few of my friends also want to teach in the academy. Some of them are old people from before Wunyan, and some came because of the Academy's reputation. When do you have time to meet them? Anytime. But Old High, did you just say that you came because of my reputation? That's right. I'm here because of its reputation. The Demonic Academy's reputation is spreading far and wide. They only accept news about geniuses, and their high fees have attracted a lot of attention. Chu Tian couldn't help but mutter, "You guys still know that the fees are high." A sea of clouds smiled. Chu Tian, with your strength, you just need to focus on earning money. You'll be able to pay back 10 million in no time. Senior brother Chu, I have money here. Senior brother Xianjia's interest is too high. I won't charge you interest, I'll help you pay it back first. Xiao Zhan secretly winked at Chu Tian. Really? That's great. Hey, how long have you guys known each other? You're already trying to trick your senior brother? Black Armor King glared at Xiao Zhan. Xiao Zhan, do you think you're smart? Hee, senior brother, we newcomers are poor. You should earn less. Why can't I tell that you're poor? I only robbed a spirit stone mine in the past. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to take out so much money. Robbed a spirit stone mine. You're really bold. Grey Crow suddenly mentioned something. Dean, a few people from the outer court came today. A sea of clouds' Uncle Master let them in for the test. Then, a few of them asked me in private if I could accept them jumping ship. Oh, that person from Star Glory Sacred Academy seems to be Yen Su's senior brother. His results are pretty good too. He took 8 minutes. He wants to join our Godfiend Academy. 8 minutes is nothing. He's been cultivating in Star Glory for 10 years. His aptitude isn't outstanding. Bai looked disdainful. Lu Chen nodded. We don't need those from the outer court. We can just recruit normally. There's no need to poach them. Then, Lu Chen checked the situation of the academy. Currently, there were 17 students and 1 instructor. It seemed that there would be no problem recruiting 50 people in a month. Once they recruited 50 people, they could unseal the Spirit Meridian first. However, their current Spirit Meridian was still a temporary artificial Spirit Meridian. It couldn't be compared to the other academies. They would probably need to get some spirit sources to fill the Spirit Meridian and increase the density of spirit energy. Bai Yi and the others led the newcomers to their residence. Lu Chen left a sea of clouds behind. Dean, are you thinking about how to increase the density of spirit energy after unsealing the Spirit Meridian? A sea of clouds was too familiar with this place. He didn't need Lu Chen to say anything to know what Lu Chen was thinking. Yes, once we have 50 people, we have to think of a way to get some spirit sources. Where do you think we should go to get spirit sources? Dean, don't keep calling me Dean. It's quite awkward. Just call me Nameless. Okay. In the south of Xingyuan continent is the ominous Demon Sea. In the north is the Netherworld Prison. In the west is the Immortal Corpse Mound. In the east. Let's not talk about the east for now. We're now in the southwest of Xingyuan continent. We can hunt in the ominous Demon Sea and the Netherworld Prison. These hunting areas have a special characteristic. The entire region is divided into 12 districts. 12 districts. Yes. You can think of the 12 districts as concentric circles. The closer to the center, the stronger the demons. Of course, the stronger the spirit pills. Some academies will also issue some hunting missions to improve their spirit meridian. The lower academy mostly hunts in the outermost districts, districts 11 and 12. The academies will issue missions in districts 8 to 10 according to their strength, while the Sacred Academy will issue missions in districts 5 to 7. Of course, this isn't absolute. The missions issued by the academies are based on their strength. Our previous missions were usually concentrated in districts 7 to 9. Old C, which district do you think Chu Tian and Xiao Zhan will go to? Chu Tian has a calm temperament. He probably didn't use his full strength during the test. Therefore, I can only estimate that he should be in District 8. Xiao Zhan should be about the same. If they team up with Grey Crow and the other two, they can try District 7. Only District 7? District 7 is already very strong. The demons there are comparable to 3-star or 4-star Theo the Great. If they are unlucky, they will encounter 3rd-rank divine beasts or demons that are comparable to 5-star Theo the Great. They can't win. In the past, when we issued missions, it was for everyone in the academy. Grey Crow and the others also had to team up before they dared to go to District 7. Lu Chen frowned. If the spirit pills in District 7 were only at the level of 2nd-rank divine beasts, it didn't seem very strong. Not to mention the spirit meridian of the academy. How about this? After a while, I will go to the nether prison and get some high-level spirit pills. Dean. Your body. I don't feel at ease if you go alone. What's there to be worried about? You don't have to treat me like a patient. No. I can't let you go alone. A sea of clouds was also a stubborn old man. But we need the spirit meridian. Lu Chen shook his head. A sea of clouds' determination was a little shaken. He thought about it and said, right, there will be a big hunting competition in half a month. Because it's not a Zhongxian Gu event, all the academies can participate. Big hunting competition? Yes, we can participate in the Nether Prison competition. At that time, the Dean will have to personally lead 50 students to participate and see which academy hunts the highest level demons. At that time, there will be spirit pills, magical weapons, immortal pills, and resources as rewards. If we can get into the top 10, we will get a small spirit meridian. It's better than you going alone. Damn, there are rewards? Then I must participate. Lu Chen was suddenly energized. Chapter 932. A sea of clouds gave Lu Chen a map of the Nether Prison. Lu Chen looked at the map alone. A sea of clouds said that the 12th district was 12 concentric circles, but it was obviously just a metaphor. It was impossible to draw it as a compass. The 12th district was not uniform, and the area was different. The outermost area was the largest, and the deeper you went, the smaller the area was. Louis helped Lu Chen brew a new cup of tea, and sat beside Lu Chen. Boss, if we encounter a rank 3 divine beast in the 7th district, it will be very dangerous. Your body is still too weak. Your stamina and spiritual energy consumption is very large, and the spiritual energy storm can't recover your spiritual energy. When Devil Beast Sovereign had just broken through to rank 2 divine beast, its strength was already very terrifying. A rank 3 divine beast speed must be even more terrifying. To use Genesis, you have to create an opportunity, which consumes a lot of stamina and spiritual energy. Even if you trap it, creating a high-intensity Genesis will definitely exhaust your spiritual energy and stamina. A Sea of Clouds Senior said that in order to prevent being hunted down, it is very likely that the demons will move together. At that time, our situation will be very dangerous. The Genesis space was indeed very strong. Once trapped, even a rank 2 divine beast like Devil Beast Sovereign would be killed without any suspense. However, when Xiao Zhan tested it today, when a huge amount of spiritual energy burst out, Lu Chen felt an obvious fluctuation in the space. Although the testing space was only used for testing, and Lu Chen did not inject too much initial spiritual energy, its strength was very low. However, this also meant that the Genesis space was far from being invincible. Origin God had once said that to deal with status skills, one had to either have a stronger status skill or take it head-on. Reality had proven that Origin God had taken the resonance head-on and almost died, but he had not been killed. That meant that as long as one was strong enough, it was not impossible to take the resonance head-on. Resonance was like that, and Genesis was probably similar. Little Green, what you said makes sense. When I killed Devil Beast Sovereign, I did not use Soul Body as one. I was holding back. If I were in my peak state, Killing a Tier 3 or even a Tier 4 divine beast would not be a problem. But my current state is indeed a little troublesome. If we encounter multiple rank 3 divine beasts, Old High's strength should be around that of a 6-star Theo the Great. It's just that he's old, so his actual combat ability might be reduced. He should be able to pin down one divine beast, and the other students should be able to do the same if they work together. I have Heaven-Piercing Sword and Genesis Sword, so I should be able to deal with 2. Little Beast, Little Furball, Little Originator, and the others. Lu Chen was startled for a moment. He was used to including Little Beast God and Little Furball in his battle strength. After he said it, he suddenly remembered that he had lost contact with those 3 little guys. If they were here, they could deal with 2 of them. Unfortunately, he didn't know where they were. Boss, Lu Chen sighed, I know, I will definitely find them. Let's talk about the matter at hand first. I don't think it's a problem to encounter a Tier 4 divine beast alone, but the problem is if we have to fight consecutively, or if we encounter multiple Tier 4 divine beasts. Lu Chen couldn't only consider his own safety now. In the past, he could run if he couldn't win, but now, he had to consider the safety of the students. There should be a lot of Saint Academies participating in this competition. If it were some powerful Saint Academies led by their deans and mentors, their target might be the 6th district or even the 5th district, where they would encounter Tier 4 or Tier 5 divine beasts. It seemed that he had underestimated the competition. In the dead of night, the new students had all returned to their own residences. Lu Chen sat alone in the dean's courtyard. It was said that the 6th heaven was a holy place for cultivation, but he had been here for more than a month, and his strength hadn't improved at all. He checked his own attribute. 2 lines of dazzling abnormal statuses were particularly obvious. Physical body permanently damaged, fatigue easily, physical damage was fine, but fatigue easily was really troublesome. In the description of the dragon species, it mentioned that he could use attributes to raise dragon crystals, but it didn't say how to remove the weakened state. It's really annoying. Forget it, even if I'm in a weakened state, I have to see where my limits are. Thinking of this, Lu Chen stood up and went to the creation space he created. Not only do I have to see my limits, but I also have to see the limits of the creation space. Speaking of which, all the people who came out of the creation space were full of praise for the training effect of the space, but Lu Chen hadn't experienced it himself. Then, Lu Chen stepped into the creation space. In fact, Lu Chen ignored the excitement of these new students at the moment. Sleep? It was impossible to sleep so early. Those guys weren't sleeping at all. A group of people gathered in the small courtyard and chatted. The leaders were Grey Crow and the other 2 old students. Oh, we will have a school in the future, ha ha ha. I collected a lot of information about Saint Academies. Who would have thought that I would end up in a lower house? Old Wine still couldn't believe it. Actually, although we are a lower house, look at our recruitment requirements. If you don't have a bit of strength, you can't get in. That's right. What Saint Academies and Immortal Academies, when we grow up, we will beat them all. Grey Crow stared at these new students. All right, stop bragging. It's good to have confidence, but you can't be blindly confident. I have confidence in surpassing Saint Academies, but don't even think about Immortal Academies. The people there are all monsters. Senior brother, Immortal Academies want to test my strength. Why can't we beat them? Black Armor King said, that's just a test. They didn't say that they would accept. Immortal Academies are all mysterious. How many continents are there in the 6th heaven, and how many geniuses are there? Their Immortal Academy won't recruit more than 20 people a year. You should calculate the ratio. Xiao Zhan disdainfully said, who cares how many people they recruit, we will let them know who the boss is in the future. Bai Yi laughed. It's not even set in stone yet, and you are all thinking about Immortal Academies. First, keep your feet on the ground and cultivate well. Our principle is low-key, can't you all be low-key? How is the principal low-key? If he is low-key, can he fight with the 20 academies alone? But speaking of which, I'm really curious, what is the principal's true strength like? While they were talking, they suddenly saw a golden light shining in the direction of the training field, almost illuminating half of the intentionless mountain. What's going on? Someone broke into our demonic academy? Everyone rushed out of the small courtyard. At this time, in the training space of the academy, a person was facing the attack of tens of thousands of sword shadows. So many sword shadows? How many minutes has he lasted? Who is in the testing space? Look at his figure, broken arm. It's the principal. Quick, let's go and see. The training space within the Divine Magic Academy was clearly not something a mere testing space could compare to. The area here was much larger, and the amount of spiritual energy Lu Chen could inject was also much greater. After entering the training space, Lu Chen directly faced the sword shadows head-on, making the sword shadows grow rapidly, reaching tens of thousands of sword chi in a short time. The sword shadows turned into a giant dragon, rushing toward the somewhat weak figure. At this time, in front of the principal, there was a black and white double-colored sword. If one looked carefully, they would find that the shape of the sword was exactly the same as those sword shadows. The principal is he going to take on so many sword shadows? Chu Tian's eyes widened and his face was filled with disbelief. Chapter 933. Chu Tian remembered that the dean had told him that if he had to hold on for 10 minutes, he could only endure for the last few minutes. Xiao Zhan had relied on this method to almost break through the 10 minutes mark. However, this was the Academy's training space. It was much stronger than the testing space. From the number of sword shadows, it was unknown how long the dean had been in here. At this moment, they realized that the dean's appearance had changed. His originally mediocre appearance instantly changed. His white hair fluttered in the wind and his skin was snow white. The aura that erupted from his body was unbelievable. The light that had just appeared was Lu Chen's soul-body unification. What? The dean is only using soul-body unification now. He's only a one-star cultivator's body. How could he hold on until now? Chu Tian suddenly said, "Attack, continuously attack, let the sword shadows quickly split." The dean did not use displacement to dodge from the beginning. Xiao Zhan nodded. That's the only possibility. However, what is the dean trying to do? Lu Chen was completely focused on the sword shadows and did not notice that the students had already come out. After soul-body unification, Lu Chen's attributes had greatly increased. At this moment, Lu Chen was only 2 heavens might skills away from reaching his strongest state. Formless. Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Sacred lotus sword heart. It's the sacred lotus sword heart. Hui Ya's eyes widened. He had been defeated by the dean's move. However, the sacred lotus sword heart that Lu Chen had used was on a completely different level from the one he had used against him and Black Armor King. Over 2,000 sword chi followed Lu Chen's quick movements and wildly shot outwards. Every sword chi collided with the sword shadows in the space, causing a terrifying spiritual energy explosion. Hong 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 hong. The spiritual energy explosion had already sounded out countless times. Lu Chen was a little regretful. Could it be that he had woken up the students? Forget it, now was not the time to think about this. My God, how high is the dean's attack? My raging flame burst and true burning fire could not reach such a terrifying attack in such a short time. Xiao Zhan's eyes were about to split open. The sacred lotus sword heart's attack is very high. Black Armor King suddenly said, "If the dean had used this move with all his strength, I would not have been able to hold on for even a second. Actually, until now I still can't figure out how strong the dean's fighting soul is. Who was it that cut off the dean's arm?" Grey Crow shook his head and sighed. More than 2,000 rays of sword chi collided countless times with the black dragon formed by the sword shadows. Although Lu Chun had blocked this wave of attacks, the sword shadows were also rapidly dividing. 1 into 4, 1 into 5. In the blink of an eye, the sword shadow dragon's body expanded several times, roaring towards Lu Chun in the center. At this point, Lu Chun was already panting heavily. Fierce Tiger descends the mountain and Holy Lotus Sword Heart had consumed too much of his spiritual energy and stamina. Even though his spiritual energy had reached 4.5 million and his physique was over 2 million, the power of his skills was too great. The consumption was already terrifying to begin with, not to mention that it was now 11 times the consumption. He had been in the space for more than 10 minutes. Every minute and second consumed a large amount of physical strength and spiritual power. Now, he was like a lamp that had run out of oil. Damn it! Lu Chen's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He really hated this weakened state. Taking medicine was useless. He couldn't cultivate. He couldn't even fight with his full strength. Damn it, I don't believe this. Can't this stupid disease be cured? Lu Chun shouted angrily. He held the limitless demon sword in his hand and fiercely swung it. Sky-piercing sword. After this move, Lu Chun spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, the sword chi shot towards the tens of thousands of sword shadows. A red and white light instantly split the dragon's body. With a boom, countless sword shadows collided with the sky-piercing sword chi, quickly forming a huge spiritual energy ball that kept expanding. Lu Chun panted heavily, watching the spiritual energy ball expand bigger and bigger. The spiritual energy it contained was already unimaginable, not good. Lu Chen's heart suddenly tightened. If this spiritual energy ball exploded, he was afraid that the creation space would be blown apart. How can my sky-piercing sword be so powerful? Lu Chen didn't use the sky-piercing sword in his best state. He only used it when his physical strength and spiritual energy were overdrawn. Logically speaking, the effect should be greatly reduced. However, the power of this sword was more powerful than the one that killed the magical beast sovereign. At this time, the speed and power of the sword shadows were extremely terrifying. And his sword was actually in a stalemate with tens of thousands of sword shadows? At this moment, Lu Chun suddenly realized that a black luster flashed on his right arm, like a scale flipping, and then quickly disappeared. And? This is the dragon crystal? Lu Chun didn't have time to think about what happened at this time. The spiritual energy ball in front of him was rolling bigger and bigger. It hadn't exploded yet, indicating that it was still accumulating power. If this went on, not only would the creation space explode, but the few buildings would also be razed to the ground. He had heard of students causing trouble, but who had heard of the dean leading the destruction? Lu Chun couldn't summon any strength now. This is the space I created, I should be able to resolve it. Lu Chun hurriedly sat cross-legged. Spiritual energy. Selfless. Lu Chun quickly integrated into the creation space and sensed the spiritual energy in the spiritual energy ball. At this time, the spiritual energy ball was like a volcanic eruption. The turbulent spiritual energy was rolling crazily, constantly filling up the spiritual energy ball, causing the spiritual energy ball to contain more and more. Since, from nothing to something, there must be a way to, from something to nothing. At this time, I can't let the creation space handle it by itself. In the original world of Heavenly Star, countless volcanoes erupted at that time, but the planet was safe and sound. It was nothing more than relying on diluting energy and converting energy. Thinking of this, Lu Chun quickly converted the spiritual pills into chaos spiritual pills. Through the spiritual energy ball, he injected the thin spiritual energy in the surrounding air into the spiritual energy ball. Using the chaos spiritual energy's attribute, he assimilated the violent spiritual energy in the spiritual energy ball. The creation space was originally a space created by Lu Chen. In the external environment, Lu Chen couldn't use his own spiritual energy to interfere with other people's spiritual energy, but in here, he could easily do so. Gradually, the spiritual energy ball finally stabilized inside. As Lu Chen continued to dilute the condensed energy in the spiritual energy ball, the spiritual energy ball quickly expanded, and the outside began to disintegrate. Although it was just diluting the spiritual energy ball, Lu Chen was already exhausted. Now, he was even more exhausted, but he still insisted on disintegrating the spiritual energy ball. Finally, the spiritual energy ball was completely disintegrated. Lu Chen used all his strength to walk out of the creation space shakily. Then, his vision turned black and he collapsed. Dean, Gray Crow and the others rushed over. Arriving in front of Lu Chen, Bai Yi suddenly sucked in a breath. Was this incomparably handsome man really their Dean? Now, his face was pale, but it couldn't hide his peerless appearance. What are you looking at? Quickly help the Dean back to rest. Gray Crow carried Lu Chen and rushed back to the Dean's room. As he ran, he shouted, Miss Green, Miss Green! Xiao Zhan, who was always quick-witted, stood there in a daze. He looked back at the creation space that had been restored to its original state, and his eyes were filled with shock. This is the Dean's strength. Chapter 934. Lu Chen wasn't injured, but he was too weak and fainted. When Lu Chen woke up, it was already noon the next day. In a daze, Lu Chen saw the disciples sitting around his bed, frowning. The atmosphere in the room was strange. Looking at the expressions of these people, if he didn't wake up, he was afraid that he would be in a funeral. You guys! A sea of clouds heard Lu Chen's voice and rushed over. The others also surrounded him. Nameless, you're awake. Dean, what are your orders? Dean, what do you want to say? Before Lu Chen could finish his words, he found that a group of people were extremely anxious. Do you have water? Yes, yes, yes. A sea of clouds hurriedly looked for water and helped Lu Chen sit up. Lu Chen drank a big bowl of water in 2 or 3 mouthfuls and took a breath. He looked at the group of people and his brain couldn't wrap itself around it. Last night, were you all woken up by me? I also forgot that you all came to the academy. Dean, we didn't sleep at that time. We just happened to see you training in the space. Gray Crow said, Dean, are you okay? Yesterday, there were tens of thousands of sword shadows in the space. We were scared out of our wits. Lu Chen thought of his right arm. His eyes swept over his arm and found that the dragon scales that appeared last night didn't appear. Was it an illusion? He had to study it when he had time. Nothing, I'm just too tired. I wanted to test the strength of the space. Alright, what time is it now? We still have to recruit people. A sea of clouds' heart tightened. The Dean had just woken up from a coma and was still thinking about recruiting people. How about this, you all go to the recruitment office first. The newcomers there are still waiting for the test. I'll go there later. Nameless, we have control talismans. You can rest well in the academy today. Leave the recruitment to us. A sea of clouds said. Yes, Dean, we can all help senior brother, senior sister, and master a sea of clouds. You just need to rest at home. Lu Chen looked at these people. They were all very strong, so it was fine to leave it to them. That's good too. Little Green is enough to accompany me. You all can go. A sea of clouds knew that recruiting students was still the academy's top priority. If they didn't go as soon as possible, Nameless wouldn't feel at ease. Then have a good rest. Miss Lu, you have to look after him. Senior A Sea of Clouds, don't worry. I've been by boss's side for many years. I'll take good care of him. A Sea of Clouds nodded and led the disciples to the recruitment office. After the others left, Lu Yi brought over a tonic, which Lu Chen drank in one gulp. After drinking the medicine, Lu Chen felt a little better. He opened his personal panel to check. He skipped all the other information and went straight to the information about the dragon species. Dragon type. Unknown mutated dragon level. First transformation due to forcefully activating the dragon species without sufficient attributes. The host is currently in a weakened state. In this state, the physical body is in a state of fatigue. The consumption of physical strength and spiritual power is increased by 10 times. Recovery skills and recovery pills cannot be used. In this state, all attributes cannot be increased. Attribute rearing dragon crystal obtained. It can remove the weakened state. However, the way to remove the weakened state is unknown. These didn't change, but there was an additional line of words behind the dragon type description. Type unknown. Currently, it is confirmed that the resurrection effect cannot be activated. Dragon crystal activation number 1. Activation strength. Second transformation or effect. Movement speed increased by 100%. Every 30 seconds, the next attack, normal attack or skill attack, will be accompanied by a true dragon attack. Attack strength increased by 4 times. True dragon attack. Lu Chen frowned. No wonder dragon scales appeared on his right arm. At that time, he was in a very bad state. Logically speaking, he should only be able to display 30 to 40% of its power. The result was far beyond his expectations. It seemed that it was because of the true dragon attack. It really activated the dragon crystal state. Lu Chen's eyes widened. I didn't test my movement speed at that time, but the data said that it could be doubled. A strengthened true dragon attack every 30 seconds. It seems that my mutated dragon isn't useless after all. The second transformation dragon species state seemed to be very strong. For example, a powerful skill like the sky-piercing sword, if it could deal 5 times the damage, it would be unimaginable. The only problem was that it was prone to fatigue. So far, Lu Chen still hadn't found a solution to this problem. Using attributes to rearing the dragon crystal can remove the weakened state of ordinary dragons. But I'm a mutated dragon. Why don't I try to see if the attributes can be reared? Lu Chen thought. Lu Chen embezzled 10,000 yuan of public funds and exchanged them for 1,000 spiritual energy and 3,000 strength, agility, and physique to try to add points to himself. Unable to increase spiritual energy in the weakened state. Attributes are devoured, unable to increase physical energy in the weakened state. Attributes are devoured. Lu Chen didn't care. He was here to feed the dragon crystal anyway. After trying all 4 attributes, Lu Chen found that they were of no use at all. Damn it! After devouring, can't you at least have some reaction? Lu Chen was speechless. He had just thrown 10,000 yuan of spiritual energy into the water. Forget it, let's not care about this for now. At least I know that my mutated dragon species is still useful. Lu Chen comforted himself. Speaking of which, if he activated the second transformation dragon species, the power of his next attack would be increased by 5 times. Then, a set of Holy Lotus Sword Heart should be able to kill a level 5 divine beast. A level 5 divine beast would definitely be able to get a ranking. It seems that I need to overdraw my physical strength to activate the second transformation dragon species. No, I have to try again. It just so happened that he was very weak now. It was a good time to train again. Lu Chen got out of bed and went straight to the creation space. Boss, what are you doing? I'm going to try some moves, Lu Chen said and ran away. Lu Chen had eliminated the spiritual energy ball last time. This time, he should be able to do it too. He wantonly attacked the space, quickly forcing himself into a state of overdrawing. With his stirring, a large number of sword shadows formed in the creation space, converging into a giant dragon. Lu Chen trembled as he raised the demon god limitless sword. Tiger descends the mountain. Holy Lotus Sword Heart. The moment he raised his hand, pieces of dragon scales quickly appeared on his right arm. he entered the second transformation dragon species state. This time, Lu Chen's attack was accompanied by a true dragon's attack. 2,160 sword auras whizzed out and fiercely collided with the sword shadow dragon. Lu Chen couldn't even lift his sword now, but his eyes were excitedly looking at the explosion coming from the sky. So strong. Not good, the spiritual energy ball is coming again. Quick, quick. Lu Chen was happy for less than 2 seconds. He hurriedly entered the state of spiritual energy refinement and an état to dissolve the spiritual energy ball. In the evening, a group of new disciples happily followed their senior brothers and sisters, and the great teacher of a sea of clouds, on the way back to Intentionless Mountain. From afar, they could see the fireworks in the night sky at the top of Intentionless Mountain. Is the Dean welcoming us? He even specially prepared the fireworks for us? Why didn't the Dean set off fireworks when we joined the academy yesterday? Turtle, look at this. The martial arts practice field is about to explode. Listen to this sound, it's so exciting. Martial arts practice field? Fireworks? A sea of clouds looked at the light at the top of the mountain in surprise. He felt that something was wrong. Chapter 935. When everyone returned to the top of the mountain, they didn't see any fireworks, and even the Dean was gone. Miss Lu said that the Dean had already rested. Everyone felt a burst of anxiety. In order to let them use the space to train with peace of mind, the Dean did not hesitate to check the training space for them with a weak body. He had not recovered yet. The next day, Lu Chen got up very early. A sea of clouds reported yesterday's situation. Because they went late, many newcomers who came from afar had left, and only 4 people were recruited yesterday. The results were all 6 or 7 minutes. During breakfast, Lu Chen also saw the 4 new disciples, who were very ambitious and full of expectations for the future. Since they were late yesterday, they should go earlier today. A sea of clouds and the others had breakfast and took the disciples to the recruitment office. A sea of clouds had been taking all the newcomers to the recruitment office to cultivate their sense of belonging. After all, there was no mentor to guide them in the academy, so it was better to help them together. Lu Chen was not feeling well, so he naturally recuperated at home. Boss, are you still going to try today? Will your body be able to bear it? Louis said worriedly. No, I have found the critical point to activate the second stage dragon seed state yesterday. It is probably when my physical strength is exhausted. In that case, I can barely use the Holy Lotus Sword Heart once or the one sword breaks the sky once, and the power can't be fully used. I can only use about 40 to 60%. I thought about it, hunting the 5th order beast is still too dangerous. Forget it, this time I will hunt the 4th order beast first. Whether I can get a ranking depends on my luck. With so many newcomers, I can't put them all in such a dangerous situation. At worst, I will go a few more times in the future and get some 4th order beast pills to support me for a while. Louis finally breathed a sigh of relief. The boss finally thought it through. Boss, you are too strict with yourself. The big hunting match is not an event held by Zhongxian Go. There is no need to take so many risks. Lu Chen nodded. Yesterday, he had used soul-body fusion. At this time, it didn't matter if he had soul-body fusion or not, but the big hunting match was different. The duration of soul-body fusion here was short, and the recovery time was slow. To be safe, he had to save up 30 minutes of soul-body fusion before the competition. In order to facilitate the management of the academy, Lu Chen gave a sea of clouds a private voice-transmitting talisman. At noon, when Lu Chen was cultivating his war soul in his room, he suddenly received a message from a sea of clouds. Nameless, are you feeling better? If there's nothing serious, then come here to take a look. Today, it's really a fierce battle. In one morning, I've already recruited 8 people. Among them, there are 2 whose strengths are only slightly inferior to Chu Tianxiao's. Lu Chen frowned slightly and exited the symbiotic state. A sea of clouds sounded very excited. The recruitment office seemed to be very lively. Lu Chen immediately rushed to the recruitment office. At the recruitment office, there were more people than usual today. Just those who wanted to take the test had a long queue, not to mention those who came to watch the fun. In contrast, the recruitment offices of other academies were deserted. Some academies' recruitment offices didn't even have any students. He didn't know if they came to watch the fun. Damn, there are thousands of people here. Yesterday, no one from the demonic academy came. Many people who left yesterday came in the afternoon today, causing a lot of people to flood into the recruitment office. A few young people walked beside Lu Chen. Hey, it's really here. The people from the Divine Demon Academy are here. I waited all morning yesterday and didn't see them. Fortunately, I'm here again today. It's easy to come all the way here. Now the Demonic Academy's testing space is almost the most popular project. Well, many other academies seem to have started testing projects, but I haven't heard of any project as magical as this one. Let's hurry up. It'll be painful if we can't get in line. The 21 disciples of the Demonic Academy, including Old C, were still a bit busy. The 8 newbies who joined in the morning all went to help. Black Armor King stood on the stage and kept shouting, "Don't worry, everyone. Line up in order. We have people making control talismans on the spot. We can have 300 testers today." Lu Chen was a bit surprised. At first, Lu Chen had to cooperate with Bai Yi to record the process of making control talismans. However, after making them many times, Bai Yi could make them herself. It was just that making talismans consumed a lot of spiritual energy. It was already good that Bai Yi could make 100 of them a day. However, Chu Tian and Xiao Zhan also knew how to make talismans. It seemed that they were learning from Bai Yi in the morning and were making them now. Geniuses are indeed geniuses. Lu Chen sighed sincerely. They can even make talismans. Are they all multitasking? Not only were Chu Tian and Xiao Zhan helping, but there were also a few people who were learning from them. Grey Crow was now giving the control talismans to the testers. If he felt that he couldn't pass, he could use the talismans himself. He was in charge of timing. Black Armor King was the loudspeaker here. He brought a group of junior brothers and sisters to maintain order. He also gave out some loan sharks. A sea of clouds was in charge of the overall situation. At the same time, those who were confident that they could pass the test in 8 minutes could directly ask him for priority testing. In general, although the people of the Demonic Academy were busy, they were orderly. A sea of clouds looked at the busy scene and felt very happy. He didn't expect that the President's creation space would bring the Demonic Academy back to life. At this speed, 50 testers a month would be child's play. In a few days, he would be able to complete the first month's mission and unlock the spirit vein. The quality is so high. Nameless brother, this old man is really impressed. A sea of clouds was talking to himself proudly. Suddenly, a young man walked in front of him. Uncle A Sea of Clouds. A sea of clouds heard the voice and turned to look strangely. A sea of clouds' eyes widened when he saw this guy. It's you. The young man was dressed plainly. His clothes were a bit shabby. God knows how many times it had been repaired by a tailor. Uncle, you still remember me? Of course I remember. You're finally here. The young man smiled slightly. Uncle, I heard about the Wu Yen Academy and the Demonic Academy 2 days ago. It's just that I ran too far and only came back today. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back. By the way, those people who chased after you. A sea of clouds whispered. I killed a few, and a few ran away. Sigh, they won't stop until I'm dead. Sooner or later, I'll kill my way to their nest. By the way, Uncle, in this testing space, the reward is 10 million if you last 10 minutes? Is it still effective? A sea of clouds shrunk his neck. It's effective, but you might as well join the demonic academy. The young man's eyes lit up. Uncle, I also want to go back to the Wunyan Academy. In the past, they wouldn't do anything to the Wunyan Academy because of Zhongxiangu. But now their strength has increased greatly. I'm afraid they don't care about the average academy. Besides, the demonic academy is just a lower academy. Zhongxiangu won't get into a conflict with them for a lower academy. I've been drifting for so long. Of course, I want to have a place to stay, but I'm afraid I'll implicate you. As he spoke, the young man's eyes dimmed. Although the time in the Wunyan Academy wasn't long, the care of a sea of clouds' dean and the care of his fellow disciples made him finally feel like he was home. Along the way, it was probably only the time in the Wunyan Academy that made him nostalgic. Uncle, if I can last 10 minutes, just give me 500,000 spirit stones. Yi Fan is ashamed that he has to earn money from the demonic academy. But I have nowhere to make a living now. I really need spirit stones. Chapter 936. A sea of clouds shook his head helplessly. If not for his limited abilities, he really wanted to help Yi Fan. At that moment, he saw Lu Chen walking over unsteadily. Suddenly, he saw a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Yi Fan, don't be in a hurry to take the test. Come with me to meet the dean of the demonic academy. Perhaps he has a way. Uncle Master Yun, forget it. I don't want to burden you. It's fine to meet him. When the time comes, you can decide whether a godfiend will come. We won't force you. With that said, a sea of clouds pulled Yi Fan in front of Lu Chen. Nameless, do you remember the thoughtless disciple I mentioned to you, Yi Fan? Lu Chen looked at the two of them in surprise. Finally, his gaze landed on the embarrassed young man. Old C, is he Yi Fan? Senior Nameless, hello. This junior is Yi Fan. Yi Fan cupped his fists and bowed slightly. Lu Chen smiled slightly. You are not a godfiend disciple yet. I can't be considered your senior. Hello, I'm Nameless. Lu Chen still remembered that a sea of clouds had mentioned that Yi Fan was very talented. And for some reason, when he heard this name, he felt that this person was Bo Fan. Perhaps he had read too many novels in the past. Since a sea of clouds thought highly of him, Lu Chen naturally had to fight for him. Yi Fan, since you are here, why don't you take the test? It would be great if you could come to our demonic academy. Our academy also has many former thoughtless disciples. Old C and a few thoughtless instructors will come in the future. Yi Fan found it hard to speak. When a sea of clouds saw this, he hurriedly pulled Lu Chen to the side. Director, that child carries a blood feud with them, and the other party is very powerful. I heard from Yi Fan that they have several top experts on their side, which makes them even more powerful. Even Zhongxiangu doesn't want to have a direct confrontation with them. That child doesn't want to drag us down, and only wants to win the prize money. He doesn't want to join the demonic academy. Lu Chen frowned. No wonder a sea of clouds said that this guy couldn't afford the tuition fees. Being hunted down every day, it would be a wonder if he had any money on him. He doesn't want much. After passing the test, he only wants 500,000 spirit stones. He probably doesn't have any money to live on right now. A sea of clouds didn't forget to speak up for Yi Fan. Lu Chen asked, Old Hai, do you think he can last more than 10 minutes? That child is a rare genius. When he first joined the Intentionless Academy, he hadn't fully revealed his talent, but at that time, I could already see that he wasn't a fish in a pond. It's a pity that the Intentionless Academy was already in a difficult situation and could only barely hold on. Otherwise, I would have definitely nurtured that child with all my strength. In my opinion, his aptitude is better than Chu Tian and Xiao Zhan. Sigh, if his opponents weren't so strong, I reckon that even if he went to the Immortal Academy, this child would still be able to make a name for himself. Lu Chen's frown became tighter and tighter. Chu Tian and Xiao Zhan were already considered top talents among the newcomers, but a sea of clouds was actually so sure that Yi Fan was stronger than them. At this time, Lu Chen was simply thirsting for talent. When he heard a sea of clouds' evaluation of Yi Fan, his heart also itched. Nameless, do you think we? A sea of clouds looked at Lu Chen, waiting for his decision. Lu Chen directly walked in front of Yi Fan. Yi Fan, old Hai told me about your general situation. Nameless Dean, Yi Fan is really ashamed. Yi Fan respects martial uncle a sea of clouds, but I have to earn spirit stones from him. Lu Chen smiled faintly. I've set the rules, so as long as you meet the conditions, you can obtain a reward if you can last for 10 minutes. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Moreover, if you want to stay, my demonic academy will also welcome you. Yi Fan looked at Lu Chen in surprise. Nameless Dean, didn't Martial Uncle Yun mention my enemy to you just now? I'm afraid that if I stay, it will be detrimental to the demonic academy. Lu Chen had a faint smile on his face. You only need to know that if you join the demonic academy and follow the rules of the demonic academy, then the demonic academy will be your backer. As for whether this backer is strong or not, that's not your problem to worry about. That's my problem. This. Yi Fan's eyes widened. Was this one-armed guy sure he was the dean? Other deans were all overcautious and kept a low profile. Why was this guy so arrogant? Didn't he even ask who his opponent was? Lu Chen saw that Yi Fan was still hesitating, so he smiled and said gently, "Of course, the decision is yours. A close friend of mine once told me that the most precious right of a person is the right to choose." The most precious right is the right to choose? Yi Fan savored this sentence carefully. That's right. Lu Chen took a deep breath. There was probably no one who understood the meaning of this sentence better than him. Wasn't it because he was unwilling to compromise and chose to adhere to his own beliefs that he had come this far? Whether you choose to become a god-fiend or continue to wander, that's your right. Whether you choose to submit or resist, that's also your right. Whether you choose to forget your hatred and live your life in disgrace, or to endure and cultivate so that you can take revenge one day, that's your right. Whether it's your enemy or your fate, they're all external forces. How you choose in the end, it's all up to you. Don't forget your original intentions, only then can you reach the end. Since you've decided on something, you must follow it to the end. When Yi Fan heard these words when he was at his lowest point, it made his heart tremble. At this moment, Yi Fan suddenly felt as if someone had read him. It was as if there were many similarities between him and Nameless, which was why there was such a strong resonance. Even the dean knows me well. All right, let's go and try the testing space. Speaking of which, this space has been here for a few days now. Until now, no one has been able to last more than 10 minutes. As he said this, Lu Chen smiled at Yi Fan and then walked into the resting area. Yi Fan was silent for a long time. No matter whether he decided to join the demonic academy or not, he had to take the test first. A sea of clouds deliberately let Black Armor King stand in the testing space and replace Grey Crow in distributing the control talismans. Black Armor King didn't think too much about it. It was the same anyway. However, when he was about to distribute the control talismans to the next tester, he was stunned when he saw the person in front of him. Junior Yi Fan? It's you? Senior Armor King, long time no see. How have you been? Yi Fan cupped his fists and bowed. When Black Armor King saw Yi Fan, he was excited. He hurriedly turned to a sea of clouds and saw a sea of clouds nodding at him. It seemed that the latter already knew that Yi Fan was here. Junior Yi Fan, it's really you. I'm doing well. I'm still the same as before, running errands and collecting profits. I've already joined the demonic academy. You, on the other hand, are so poor every day. Without me lending you money, you're still alive. Yi Fan couldn't help but laugh. Senior Armor King, I can still fill my stomach. Fill your stomach? Please pay me back the 300,000 spirit stones you owe me first. How long has it been? The interest should be more than 100,000. Although Black Armor King was asking for money, he was smiling and didn't seem to be in a hurry at all. Senior Armor King, talking about money hurts our relationship. After I pass this testing space, I'll pay you back double. Ha ha ha, will you die if you don't brag all day long? It's not easy to pass 10-minute. Why don't you join the Divine Demon Academy and join us? We'll work together and make a name for ourselves. Your Senior Armor King doesn't want you to pay back the 300,000 spirit stones. Senior Armor King, you're such a miser. You don't want me to pay back the money? Forget it, I'd better pay back the money as soon as possible. Otherwise, if I really join the Divine Demon Academy, I'll be at your beck and call all day long. Yi Fan hadn't decided whether to join the Divine Demon Academy or not. When he was teasing his Senior Armor King, he inadvertently thought of all the interesting things that happened when he joined the Divine Demon Academy. When Yi Fan said it, he suddenly realized that he also wanted to go back to the former courtyard of Intentionless and focus on cultivation with his seniors and juniors. Chapter 937. Let's not talk about this for now. Test it first. This is a control talisman. Black Armor King handed over a copy. Yi Fan looked at the quality of the copy. Earth-level talisman paper? This must cost a lot of spirit stones. It's okay, the Academy will reimburse me anyway. Yi Fan thought for a while and said, forget it, I don't need this. Save it for the people behind me. No need? Yi Fan, this testing space is extremely dangerous towards the end. I've heard about it, but I'm confident. Black Armor King couldn't help but gasp. As expected of Yi Fan, this guy had given them plenty of scares in the past. Without waiting for Black Armor King to finish, Yi Fan actually walked into the testing space by himself. Black Armor King's eyes widened and hurriedly ran to Lu Chen's side. Principal, Director Cloud, Yi Fan didn't bring the control talisman. Without the control talisman, to stop the array, Lu Chen had to control it. But to the newcomers, especially those who came in the last 2 days, many didn't know that the gods and demons had other ways to stop the testing space. In other words, that guy didn't seem to want anyone to save him. A Sea of Clouds was a little anxious and said to Lu Chen, Nameless, Yi Fan is just like that. Don't be fooled by his low profile usually, but when he does something, he's like a lunatic. Lu Chen smiled faintly. This kid is really interesting. Don't worry, I'm here. He'll be fine. In the testing space, the news of someone not using the control talisman quickly spread. Chu Tian and Xiao Zhan also looked at the figure in the testing space with concern. Countless people around them craned their necks, and many people from other academies were also paying close attention. He didn't bring the control talisman? Is he not planning to come out? How arrogant. Who is this guy? I've never seen him before. A Celestial Academy recruitment disciple squinted his eyes and sized him up. He looks familiar. I think he's the demon from the Academy of Wunyan? Is it really that demon? Damn, quick, report to the headmaster. Hasn't the headmaster been looking for him? At this moment, Yi Fan was already standing in the testing space. Unlike everyone else, he closed his eyes as soon as he entered the space. Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. Spiritual Qi refinement? Lu Chen's heartbeat quickened all of a sudden. Finally, he had met someone who knew how to use spiritual energy. He really wanted this person. Damn, old Hai, why don't you say that he knows how to enter the minute subtlety? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have been so casual. Lu Chen pinched old Hai's arm. He didn't seem to know it in the past. Could it be that he comprehended it recently? That's even harder to come by. Lu Chen was regretting his decision. It would be a shame if this SSR player ran away. Yi Fan had been carefully sensing the fluctuations of spiritual energy in the air. His moves were seamless and could split freely. His moves were like moving clouds and flowing water. Yi Fan's elemental fusion of so many professions could be said to be perfect. 14 minutes into the battle, Yi Fan was like a god descending. His eyes were red, and the silver sword in his hand ignited with flames. This testing space is actually endless. It's very compatible with the Tao of Yin and Yang and has already formed its own system. The more time passes, the more mature it becomes. Yi Fan narrowed his eyes slightly. This was the first time he encountered such a situation. Only by exceeding the limits of the space within a short period of time can this space be broken. Immediately, terrifying spiritual energy erupted from Yi Fan's body. Like a raging fire, it directly swept away the sword's shadows around him. It's been 14 minutes. He still has a trump card? Xiao Zhan widened his eyes and looked at Yi Fan in disbelief. Chu Tian narrowed his eyes slightly. This fellow was really strong. Even if he used his killing move, he might not be able to win. However, just as Yi Fan was accumulating power, the sword shadows around him suddenly disappeared. Then, a figure slowly walked into the testing space. Yi Fan looked at the person in surprise. The person was the president of Xinghua Sacred Academy, Di Xian. Di Xian smiled at Yi Fan. Yi Fan, come to Xinghua Sacred Academy. Wait. Suddenly, a large group of people came from outside the space. What was shocking was that all the people who came were frightening. There was another academy in the same area, 100 Battles Academy, Paladin Academy, and many other academies nearby. There were even 4 or 5 high-level instructors from High Firmament Academy and North Pole Academy. On their chest badges, there was only the word Immortal. The one who spoke was an old man with the word Immortal on his chest. This person had white hair and a youthful face. When he looked at Yi Fan, his eyes were shining. People from Immortal Academy? Oh my God, they are from Immortal Academy! People from Immortal Academy are all here? They are here to snatch that guy. No way, what kind of academy is this? So many academies are breaking the recruitment rules for that guy. Is that guy really a world-shaking genius? Chapter 938. The Dean of 100 War Academy personally came to recruit, but before he could open his mouth, he saw the representatives of Immortal Academy. He forcefully swallowed the speech he had prepared. Although Immortal Academy was elusive, many continents didn't even have their own Immortal Academy. But what was strange was that every time a super genius appeared, they would definitely be seen. Many geniuses who came to 6th Heaven would receive an invitation from Immortal Academy. Of course, Yi Fan wasn't really a newcomer, so many people didn't understand why Immortal Academy's people would appear here. But regardless of the reason, Immortal Academy's people came. Even Sacred Academy's dean didn't dare to act rashly in front of them. Immortal Academy's elder had a smile on his face as he directly walked into the testing space. Di Xian's expression was a bit unnatural. Originally, their Glorious Star Academy was definitely ranked high among the nearby academies, but who would have thought that Immortal Academy's people would appear out of nowhere? Dean Di Xian, can you let this old man talk with little friend Yi Fan for a bit? The elder cupped his fists and asked. Di Xian took half a step back. Immortal Elder, what are you saying? Please. The elder stood in front of Yi Fan. Yi Fan, are you willing to come to Immortal Academy to give it a try? With your aptitude, staying in Prosperous Origin Continent is really a waste of talent. In the distance, Grey Crow was a bit angry. He said to Lu Chen, Dean, what is this? Using our testing space to test, we ended up encountering a top-class genius, and a group of people came to snatch him. A sea of clouds glared at Grey Crow. Don't talk nonsense. Those are Immortal Academy's people. Nameless, don't be impulsive. We can't afford to offend Immortal Academy's people. He was indeed a bit worried that Nameless would be impulsive. Although he was the dean, he was still a newcomer who had just arrived at 6th Heaven. Moreover, from his way of doing things, he wasn't someone easy to deal with. When a sea of clouds looked at Lu Chen, he discovered that the dean wasn't looking at the testing space, but rather at the distant sky. Lu Chen frowned slightly. From the looks of it, more people are coming. This Yi Fan is not only popular, but also a hot potato. Sure enough, a few purple figures in the distance flashed and arrived at the testing area in the blink of an eye. These people were all wearing the same purple clothes and devil masks. Their badges could not be seen clearly, but they were of the same color. Seeing these people, the surrounding rookies were at a loss. Which academy are they from? The emblem doesn't seem to be an academy emblem. However, when the dean of the Academy of 100 Battles saw these people, his expression changed. It's the people from the Purple Heaven Palace. Why are they here too? Dean, who is the Purple Sky Palace? Don't ask too many questions. Don't talk back to them later. Even though these people all wore masks, the auras their bodies released weren't any weaker than Immortal Academy's people. The surrounding newcomers subconsciously backed up, directly opening up a path for them. Immortal Academy's people, who were currently chatting with Yi Fan, turned around. When they saw these people walk over, the elders' brows immediately furrowed. Purple Heaven Palace? Why are they here? There were a total of 5 people from the Purple Heaven Palace. The one in the lead walked over. Even though his expression couldn't be seen, the smiling face on the devil mask made it seem as if he was smiling. Yi Fan, Yi Fan, it's really interesting. We've been looking for you for so long but couldn't find you. You actually dare to return here? Fortunately, the Palace Lord told us to wait here at the innocuous academy. It's been a few months and we've finally found you. Yi Fan's expression also darkened. You guys are really like ghosts that won't go away. Ha 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 ha, if we want to catch a brat like you, of course we won't be able to catch you if we don't have a bit of patience. Immortal Academy's elders' experience naturally didn't need to be mentioned. From the conversation between the two, he guessed that there was definitely a grudge between the two sides. He said to the Purple Heaven Palace's people, I wonder which Purple Heaven Palace's pavilion lord you are? You don't need to know which pavilion lord I am. You only need to know that this Yi Fan won't join your Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy. He was killed by our Purple Heaven Palace, and no one can save him. Even if it's your Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy, if you insist on fighting with us over him, we won't be lenient. The elder's eyes widened in anger. Just as he was about to explode, someone pulled him back and said in a low voice, Elder Su Yan, our academy isn't in this star field. The Purple Heaven Palace's influence is extremely vast. After those people joined in these years, their development has increased by leaps and bounds. At this time, it's not good for us to clash with the Purple Heaven Palace. That's right, Senior Su Yan. We're only in charge of recruiting genius disciples. Even though this Yi Fan's talent is outstanding, if we clash with the Purple Heaven Palace because of him, the gains won't make up for the losses. Another elder also stepped forward and spoke. Su Yan's brows were tightly furrowed. Even though he really wanted to take in Yi Fan, the words of his junior brother and the Academy's disciples weren't without reason. It was obvious that the Purple Heaven Palace was determined to get him. They didn't hesitate to offend the Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy to kill Yi Fan. It was clear that the hatred between the two sides was deep, and it wasn't something that could be resolved with just a few words. After some consideration, Su Yan reluctantly took half a step back and said to Yi Fan, Little friend Yi Fan, it seems like you're not fated to be with our Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy. Due to my status, I can't make a move. I just hope that you can turn danger into safety. Yi Fan wasn't surprised by Su Yan's attitude at all. If the Purple Heaven Palace was easy to deal with, he would have joined some academy long ago and cultivated in peace. He didn't blame the Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy for being ruthless. After all, he wasn't a disciple of the Heavenly Saint. If he had to blame someone, he could only blame himself for being careless. Yi Fan stared at the purple-clothed man who spoke. This guy was obviously not one of those little kittens and puppies he'd met before. He was at least the pavilion master, and he might even be one of the 8 immortal generals. The Purple Heaven Palace had specially sent people to wait for him, so they definitely had full confidence in killing him. Yi Fan, don't think that I don't know. When you walked into the sea of vicious demons a few days ago, you already used the soul-body unification. Now, your soul-body unification is almost gone, so you can't escape this time. The man raised his chin slightly, as if he was looking at prey that was already in his hands. You also saw that even the Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy won't protect you. I think you should just obediently let yourself be captured. Su Yan, Di Xian, and the others had already retreated from the space, and the people of the Purple Heaven Palace surrounded Yi Fan in the middle, closing in on him step by step. You little bastard, today, even if the Heavenly Emperor comes, he won't be able to protect you. Today is the day you die. Capture this bastard for me. Before he finished speaking, a faint voice suddenly rang out. I say, this is my territory. Do you think you can come and go as you please? You even want to kill people here? Aren't you looking down on the demonic academy too much? Even the people of the Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy could only suffer in silence. At this time, there was still someone who dared to speak up? Everyone present looked in the direction of the voice in shock. At this time, in the resting area of the Demonic Academy's staff, a one-armed man was sitting leisurely on a chair. Beside him, his assistant, a sea of clouds, was also looking at Nameless with a shocked expression. Just now, he wanted to remind Nameless not to conflict with the people of the Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy, but the people of the Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy interrupted. Now that the people of the Heavenly Saint Immortal Academy had withdrawn from the competition, the Dean directly attacked the people of the Purple Heaven Palace. He was stunned and didn't have time to stop the Dean. Not only those unrelated people, but even the disciples of the Demonic Academy were stunned at this time. Although they didn't know about the Purple Heaven Palace, after comparing their strength, everyone knew that the people of the Purple Heaven Palace were not to be trifled with. But just like that, the Dean didn't even think and directly spoke. Xiao Zhan nudged Chu Tian with his shoulder. Senior brother, I have a premonition. What premonition? In the future, this demonic academy will really speed up. We may not be able to keep up with the Dean's pace. Chapter 939. The people from the Purple Sky Palace suddenly burst into laughter. Ha 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 ha, I was wondering who it was. So it's that crippled Nameless. Oh, I forgot, you're a dean after all. This group of people seemed to have some understanding of Lu Chen, knowing that he was nameless. Of course, from their attitude, it seemed like they only knew that he was nameless. Nameless. A sea of clouds couldn't help but scratch his head. They are from the Purple Sky Palace. Even Zhongxian Guo has to be courteous to them. When the Sacred Academy saw them, they didn't even dare to say anything. The elders of the Immortal Academy didn't dare to confront them directly, and even Zhongxian Guo had to be courteous to them. There was no need to say more about the power of the Purple Sky Palace. Lu Chen snorted coldly. From the first heaven onwards, he seemed to have only met these top powers. That's Zhongxian Guo, but it doesn't mean that my demonic academy has to be courteous to them. After saying that, Lu Chen stood up and walked directly to the testing space. He walked past the people from the Purple Sky Palace and stood in front of Yi Fan. I'm crippled, so what? This is the recruitment area of my demonic academy. You guys rushed in one by one to snatch people? Dean Xinghua, and that Heavenly Saint Academy, you two have to give me an explanation later. Elder Su Yan almost spat out a mouthful of blood. It was fine that they were suppressed by the Purple Sky Palace. After all, their academy didn't expand everywhere like the Purple Sky Palace. The Heavenly Saint Academy was far away in the Ginza continent, and they were weak. But what kind of thing was this demonic academy? They actually wanted them to give an explanation? Even the Sacred Academy had to bear the pain to part with the people the Immortal Academy wanted, let alone this demonic academy, which seemed to be a lower academy. They had seen arrogant students before, but they had never seen a dean leading such an arrogant group. Di Xian's face was also green and purple. Xinghua was the big brother of this area, and as the dean, who didn't give him face. In the end, when it came to the demonic academy, that guy didn't give him any face, and he was even singling them out for criticism. However, at least he was called out together with Heavenly Sacred Immortal Academy, so others shouldn't notice him. Nameless really doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The elder behind him coldly said, in the end, he's just a newcomer. I really don't understand why Yunhai would follow him and cause trouble. Sooner or later, he and the demonic academy will be doomed. At this moment, Lu Chen had no time to pay attention to Di Xian and Su Yan for the time being. After all, the people from the Violet Heavenly Palace were the last ones standing. Yi Fan, who was standing behind Lu Chen, suddenly said, Nameless Dean, Yi Fan thanks Dean for his kind intentions, but I don't want to implicate you. Yi Fan took another step forward and stood beside Lu Chen. He raised his voice and said to the people from the Violet Heavenly Palace, This matter has nothing to do with the Demonic Academy. If you want to kill me, let's see if you have the ability to do so. Lu Chen curled his lips. Yi Fan, what you said is wrong. I don't care if they kill you or not, but this is the testing area of the Demonic Academy. Without my permission, no one can kill anyone here. How could a genius like Yi Fan not know that Nameless wanted to protect him? Dean, the power behind them. Don't talk about the power behind them. My rules don't depend on the person. Whoever comes has to abide by them. Lu Chen smiled indifferently, but his eyes were burning with anger. He turned around and said to the people from the Violet Heavenly Palace, I've made myself clear enough. If you don't want me to do it, get out of here now. Ha 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 ha. A few people from the Violet Heavenly Palace almost died of laughter. Nameless, this is the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. How many people do you have in the Demonic Academy? Do you have 30 of them? Or do you want to make the Violet Heavenly Palace your enemy with your own strength? Lu Chen snorted coldly. What you mean is that I can go to your house and kill people as I wish next time, and if you stop me, you'll be my enemy. It seems that you're used to being arrogant and despotic. Otherwise, why would you use this kind of bandit logic as your code of conduct? So what if we are? The people from the Violet Heavenly Palace said angrily. Nameless, don't think that you're invincible just because you defeated a few newbies from the Soaring Cloud Academy. Let me tell you, in the sixth heaven, those newbies are not worth mentioning at all. Look at you now. With only one arm, I'm afraid you're only half as good as others. Trash like you can be the dean, and there are still so many idiots who are willing to follow you? Lu Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. It seems that you won't give up until you see the coffin. Suddenly, without any warning, a beam of sword chi swept out. No one had expected that the dean of the Demonic Academy would actually make a move directly. A sword chi shot toward the person from the Violet Heavenly Palace who had just spoken. That person was also an expert. In a situation where both sides were not in any state, that person actually relied on his physical body to move and dodge Lu Chen's attack. You dare to make a move? I think you really don't want to live anymore. Fine, I'll let you understand one thing. If the Violet Heavenly Palace wants to kill a dean of the lower house, I won't even bat an eye. The leader glared angrily. But at this moment they suddenly discovered that the surrounding spiritual chi began to circulate rapidly. The testing space had begun to operate. Although Lu Chen's sword chi just now did not hit the opponent, it was like a stone thrown into a still lake, causing ripples and restarting the creation space. The surrounding onlookers widened their eyes even more. Was Nameless going to fight with the other party in the creation space? One had to know that the spiritual chi escaping from the creation space would accelerate the formation of sword shadows in the space. Previously, everyone had tried their best to avoid large movements, but now, two groups of people were directly fighting in the creation space. The people from the Violet Heavenly Palace narrowed their eyes slightly. They had previously guessed that this testing space was a status skill. Now that they were in it, they were even more convinced of this point. Sure enough, it's a status skill. You're lucky to have comprehended a status skill. Nameless, you're actually the strongest newcomer. Lu Chen smiled slightly. I'm not interested in being the strongest or not. I only know that you will die here. Several people from the Heavenly Sage Immortal Academy were slightly surprised. They said that Nameless is the strongest newcomer. What does that mean? Senior brother, there's no information about this person anywhere before. It's possible that he's also a newcomer. What? A newcomer? A newcomer directly coming to the sixth heaven to be the dean? This is simply unheard of. I've heard some rumors mentioning that Nameless somehow got a sea of clouds to pass the position of the dean of the Intentionless Academy to him. Later, in the name of the Intentionless Academy, he seized the old site of the Intentionless Academy. It seems that he became the dean in this way. It's just that not many people were optimistic about him at that time. Some even thought that he wouldn't last a month. But now, it seems that the quality of the disciples recruited by the Demonic Academy is quite high. If that's the case, this person has some tricks up his sleeve. Su Yen narrowed his eyes slightly. A newcomer directly coming to be the dean. This was really hard to believe. At this time, Lu Chen had already pulled out the infinite sword of the celestial demon. Seeing this sword, the surrounding people couldn't be more familiar with it. It was the main body of those sword shadows that made people tremble in fear in the testing space. This once again proved that the testing space was the masterpiece of this principle of the Demonic Academy. Infinite Sword of the Celestial Demon. Behind the devil mask, a pair of incomparably shocked eyes appeared. You're actually the owner of the Infinite Sword of the Celestial Demon. This kind of otherworldly object actually recognized you as its master. Impossible. Lu Chen was slightly surprised. Ever since he obtained the Infinite Sword of the Celestial Demon, no one could accurately call out the full name of this sword. However, this group of people actually recognized the Infinite Sword. Purple Heavenly Palace? Where did it come from? Chapter 940. When Lu Chen was about to make a move, a sea of clouds, Grey Crow, Bai Yi, Black Armor King, Chu Tian, Xiao Zhan, Old Wine, and the others rushed into the testing space. A sea of clouds pressed down on Lu Chen's arm. Nameless, we're here. There's no reason for you to make a move. Dean, if you have to make a move on everyone, our Demonic Academy will lose face. Black Armor King snorted and looked at the people from the Purple Sky Palace. Hey, this is our Demonic Academy's territory. It's not your place to behave atrociously. Xiao Zhan was not someone who would stay put. He said coldly, Do you think there's no one in our Demonic Academy? How dare you make a move on our dean? I, Xiao Zhan, am here. If you want to make a move on our dean, you'll have to go through me first. Chu Tian's character was relatively calm. He stood in front of Lu Chen. Anyway, what should be said had been said by others. Lu Chen was also speechless. Who asked you to come here? Grey Crow said, Dean, don't you know what kind of people you've recruited? If others dare to make a move on you, it'll be strange if they can tolerate it. There were more than 30 people from the Demonic Academy. Every one of them was a newcomer who had lasted at least 6 minutes. It could be imagined that when they were at the fifth layer of heaven, they were not people to be trifled with. They did not care about the Purple Sky Palace and were ready to fight directly. The people from the Purple Sky Palace narrowed their eyes slightly. They were really careless. They did not expect the Demonic Academy to make a move on them directly. Before this, they never thought that a dean of a lower house would dare to make a move. That was why they swaggered into the testing space. Now, not only did Nameless make a move, but the entire Demonic Academy also made a move. There were few people in this small and shabby academy. From the dean to the students, none of them were normal. Almost everyone from the Demonic Academy was here. Although there were only more than 30 people in the entire academy, more than 30 people were now ready to fight. This made the people of the Violet Heavenly Palace feel guilty. Being in other people's status skills, there was a group of geniuses who had the ability to fight above their level. There was also an expert like Yun Hai, and the combined strength of the three thoughtless heroes was not weak either. There was also that mysterious Dean Wu Ming. For Yi Fan to be able to escape from their clutches time and time again, that kid was not weak to begin with. With only 5 of them, the situation was hard to predict. Trash is trash. Do you want the whole academy to attack him together? The people of the Purple Heaven Palace deliberately raised their voices. A sea of clouds snorted. It's about the dignity of the Demonic Academy. Although our Demonic Academy has just started, we can't allow you to be rude to our president here. Old man, stop wasting your breath. Xiao Zhan immediately retorted. Weren't the 5 of you planning to bully a newcomer with numbers? If you want to talk about shamelessness, you are the ones who are shameless to the extreme. Xiao Zhan, this kid, was really unforgiving with his words. The people of the Violet Heavenly Palace looked at the long sword in Lu Chen's hand and thought for a moment. Under many uncertain factors, the leader suddenly removed the spiritual energy from his body. Interesting. The Demonic Academy, right? We are here to kill Yi Fan, but you want to take the blame? Since you are willing to get involved in this mess, fine. We will settle this account slowly. Yi Fan, you are lucky this time. I will let you live for a few more days. But remember, you can't run away. Let's go. As the man turned around, he whispered to the people behind him. The strange movement in the ominous demon sea has not been investigated clearly. We are in the Nameless Realm skill. This battle is not safe for us. We need to preserve our strength. There is no need to confront them head-on. They can run away, but they can't hide. When our people come, they will be like turtles in a jar. They exchanged glances and nodded slightly. They instantly left the test space. A sea of clouds let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, the dean did not control the space to lock the other party and let them go. Hey, don't run if you have guts. Xiao Zhan was still shouting at the back, but he was stopped by Chu Tian. Junior brother, don't talk so much. Do you really want to fight with them? Xiao Zhan stuck out his tongue. Senior brother, you can see that those old foxes are very cunning. They won't turn around and fight. If we really fight, although we might not necessarily lose, it will definitely not be good for our academy. I just let them see our Divine Devil Academy's imposing manner. The Demonic Academy directly scared the Violet Heavenly Palace away. If this spread out, we would be so proud. Chu Tian couldn't help laughing. Ha ha ha, junior brother, you are really bold and careful. The two sides did not really pursue the matter, but a sea of clouds still had dark clouds in his heart. The people of the Violet Heavenly Palace were more cunning than he thought. They left now, definitely not to say that this matter was over. The next time they appeared, the Demonic Academy would not only be able to protect Yi Fan, but also itself. Yi Fan did not speak. His eyes fell on the back of the man with a broken arm in front of him. Previously, many academies fought for him, even at the expense of breaking the rules. They seemed to be sincere and valued him very much. But when the people of the Violet Heavenly Palace appeared, these people all retreated. Only the demonic academy stood in front of him. At this moment, Yi Fan suddenly had an illusion. It was as if they were his family and would protect him at all costs. Now, although the people of the Violet Heavenly Palace temporarily retreated, the Violet Heavenly Palace would definitely remember this debt of the Demonic Academy. They could no longer get rid of it. Looking at the other people of the Demonic Academy, talking and laughing, were they sure these people were geniuses? Did they not know how big a mess they had just made? Except for the uncle of a sea of clouds who looked worried, the others looked indifferent. But after thinking about it for a while, it was actually not strange. After all, it was the dean who took the lead in causing trouble. The dean acted as if nothing had happened, and the disciples were naturally the same. Sure enough, like the dean, like the students, "Dean, it's all because of me." Yi Fan was heartbroken. In the future, the Demonic Academy will not be able to escape from the evil hands of the Violet Heavenly Palace. Lu Chun turned to look at Yi Fan and smiled slightly. "It doesn't matter. Anyway, I have made more than 1 or 2 enemies. It doesn't matter if the Violet Heavenly Palace is added. But I want to ask you." Yi Fan raised his head and looked at Lu Chun in surprise. After knowing his situation, the dean would not still want him to stay, would he? Lu Chun continued, "Would you like to join our Demonic Academy?" I'm worried." Chu Tian and Xiao Zhan also walked over. Xiao Zhan was naturally familiar with Yi Fan and put his hand on Yi Fan's shoulder. "Brother Yi Fan, don't dawdle. We are not worried." "What are you worried about?" Chu Tian also said, "Brother Yi Fan, the dean doesn't care about making enemies. We don't care either. What are you worried about? Besides, do you think there is any academy more suitable for you than the Demonic Academy?" Yi Fan looked at Lu Chun and then at the divine demon disciples. A long-lost feeling welled up in his heart. It was just like when he was in the sacred courtyard of Wunyan. It was as if he had returned home. Yes, with such senior and junior brothers and such a dean, was there any other place more suitable for him? The Black Armor King walked over with a smirk and patted Yi Fan's shoulder. "Junior brother, I knew you would come back. Welcome home. Oh, by the way, since you are back, remember to pay back my spirit stones." Chapter 941. Yi Fan had finally decided to join the Demonic Academy. Lu Chun was secretly delighted. He had finally obtained the SSR Academy. On the other hand, the rumor of the Demonic Academy repelling a powerful force quickly spread throughout prosperous Origin continent. Even the Immortal Academy didn't dare to provoke the Sacred Academy, but the Demonic Academy, a newly established lower academy, didn't cower in the slightest. Just this point alone attracted the interest of many newcomers. Coupled with their unique testing space, more and more people flocked to the Demonic Academy's recruitment office. In the next 2 days, the Demonic Academy's recruitment office had a large number of newcomers waiting to be tested before the recruitment office even opened. Under such circumstances, the Demonic Academy's recruitment suddenly became popular. On the afternoon of the 5th day, Lu Chun was resting in the academy when he received a system notification. "Congratulations, you've completed the first month's recruitment mission. The Demonic Academy's secondary spirit vein is now open." They've just started and they've already recruited people? Lu Chun was pleasantly surprised. However, Lu Chun still decided to wait for Old Hai to come back and check the secondary spirit vein with him. After all, Old Hai was very familiar with the place. At night, the recruitment army came back. They had recruited 19 people in a single day, and the total number of students in the academy had reached 66. When Old Hai came back, he was completely refreshed. When he saw Lu Chun, he immediately ran over to report the result. Nameless 66 in just 5 days. "You've worked hard, Old Hai. What's so hard about it? It's all those brats doing the work. Oh right, the instructors I mentioned to you before should be arriving in 2 days. I'll accompany you to meet them then. Lu Chen nodded. With students and instructors, the academy was finally on the right track. Old Hai, accompany me to take a look at the secondary spirit vein first, Lu Chen said. The seal will be lifted this morning, but it'll be easier with you around. Let's go now. I can't wait any longer. The two of them went straight to the backyard on the east side of the training field. The main spiritual vein of the demonic academy was that strange spiritual vein, which had not been used for a long time. On the other hand, the secondary spiritual vein had become the main spiritual vein of the Academy of Wu Nian hundreds of years ago. The secondary spirit meridian was located at the back of Intentionless Mountain. After the seal was lifted, the two of them entered the back of the mountain directly. Not long after, the two of them arrived at an open area. This is a spirit vein? Lu Chen looked around curiously. It was different from what he had imagined. A sea of clouds explained, nameless, the secondary spirit vein is actually a spirit gathering array set up by the people of Zhongxianguo. Look at this large array. There are a total of 9 first-level array cores, and below each first-level array core are 9 second-level array cores, and so on. There are a total of 4 levels and 6,561 subarray cores. Lu Chen looked at the flow of spirit qi everywhere. Although there were many formation eyes, they were very regular and could be said to be clear at a glance. Overall, this spirit gathering array was like a big tree with luxuriant branches and leaves. It was unlike those spirit sealing arrays, where the arrangement of each formation eye was as complicated as possible in order not to be destroyed, making it impossible for people to start. After these formation eyes are placed with spirit sources, the spirit qi can be gathered by the higher level formation eyes, layer by layer, and form the final artificial spirit vein. A sea of clouds walked to the front of an array. A dim beast pill was suspended in the formation eye here. A sea of clouds took the beast pill and looked at it. Nameless, this is a level 2 divine beast pill, but it looks like its spirit qi has been exhausted. Lu Chen looked around. The beast pills on many formation eyes were dim, and many formation eyes were even empty. In the past 6 months, the spirit vein has been sealed, and the main array has gathered a lot of spirit qi. It should be able to last for 2 to 3 months, but the extent of the depletion of the spirit sources seems to be somewhat beyond my expectations. A sea of clouds' eyes were full of anxiety. I must find a way to get more spirit sources as soon as possible. Lu Chen suddenly asked, Old Sea, didn't you say that some magic treasures can also be used as spirit sources? Why haven't I seen any magic treasures? Spirit sources magic treasures? They've all been divided. Only these beast pills are left. A sea of clouds shook his head and sighed. Lu Chen stepped forward and patted a sea of clouds' shoulder. It's okay. If we don't have any spirit sources magic treasures, we can get them in the future. For now, let's use beast pills as a substitute. I think the effect of this spirit gathering array should be good. With more than 6,000 formation eyes, it should be considered a big array. Yes, it was arranged by the masters of Zhongxianguo. If it weren't for this array, Thoughtless would have been lonely hundreds of years ago. That's good. Let's use this as a transition first. After the big hunting match, we'll get more beast pills. The next day, a sea of clouds didn't go to recruit new people. He received news that his former mentor had arrived this morning. This time, a total of 5 mentors came. 4 of them were the old mentors of Thoughtless Academy, and one of them was a Sea of Clouds' close friend. In fact, after the academy closed down, those mentors who had been in Thoughtless Academy for decades, or even longer, were even more reluctant to join other academies. They had been in the Wunyan Academy for decades. In their opinion, the Wunyan Academy was already their home. Once the academy closed down, these old seniors would have to go to other academies and start all over again. It was not easy for anyone to accept this. A sea of clouds brought these people to Lu Chen and introduced them one by one. Nameless, I know these people very well. When they were in Thoughtless Academy, they were very strong. And when they were in the academy, they were very responsible. This is Big Dream Saiji, a 6-star Theo the Great. This is the 1,000-stone bow, divine archery, sword manipulation, and martial god. 6-star Theo the Great, 5-star Theo the Great, Lan Ji, a 2-star elemental sorcerer and talisman array master. 5-star Theo the Great, Long Xiang, a 2-star beast manipulation and spiritual manipulation. This is my good friend. He used to be a great mentor of another academy. He originally planned to retire, but now I've pulled him over. A sea of clouds pulled an old man with a white beard and said, "Let me introduce you. This is the 7-star Theo the Great, Master Etion, a 3-star puppet master, a pharmacist, and a blasting master." Lu Chen's eyes widened. 5 people, covering 9 major professions, and the lowest was the 5-star Theo the Great. If a sea of clouds, the former dean of Thoughtless Academy, was included, the teaching staff of the Demonic Academy was basically formed. Etion sized up Lu Chen, then said to a sea of clouds, "A sea of clouds, are you sure you want us old guys to follow this little kid?" A sea of clouds laughed. "Etion, do you still doubt my judgment? If we didn't believe in your judgment, we wouldn't have come at all." Saiji didn't look old at all. He was big and burly like a tank. It's just that Nameless Dean is more. Saiji didn't know how to describe it. Lu Chen smiled and stood up. "Weak." Saiji could only nod. He was indeed weak. Etion said, "For immortal cultivators, physical damage is a big taboo. Nameless is missing his left arm, and Nameless doesn't look too good. There should be other symptoms on his body. Besides, you're only a 1-star great cultivator. Nameless, please don't take offense. We old guys have actually planned to retire, but a sea of clouds insisted, so we agreed to come and take a look. Now that we've seen him, we really don't have much confidence." Yes, the strength of the dean often determines the upper limit of the academy's development. Even though you have a lot of geniuses here, when the academy has a ranking, the dean's strength is also an important part of the academy's ranking. If the academy's ranking isn't high, the development of the students will naturally be hindered. You really have a self-created concept? I don't believe it now. In the face of all kinds of doubts, Lu Chen was already prepared. He smiled and said to everyone, "First of all, I have a concept skill called creation. I set up a concept space in the martial arts practice field, which is specially for the disciples to practice. As for my personal strength, it's reasonable for you to have scruples. I don't want to explain too much. The big hunting match is just around the corner. I need to preserve my strength, so it's inconvenient for me to show it." Etion frowned. "If you don't explain or show it, how do you expect us to be convinced?" Lu Chen said indifferently, "If you believe in the vision of a sea of clouds, it's better to go to the big hunting match with us. You can naturally verify my strength with your own eyes." Chapter 942. Etion and the others stayed, but they did not join the Demonic Academy for the time being. They stayed in the Demonic Academy as guests. The next day, Etion and the others wanted to see the situation of the Divine Demon's recruitment. Lu Chen and a sea of clouds took several mentors to the recruitment office. After seeing the lively scene at the Demonic Academy recruitment office, several mentors seemed to be a little shaken. As mentors, students with excellent qualifications were very attractive. Although the Demonic Academy was surprisingly established, the threshold was extremely high. Those who could enter were almost all disciples with excellent qualifications. After returning from the academy, these mentors got along well with the disciples. Years of habit had made them accustomed to passing on their experience. Lu Chen and a sea of clouds saw this and were secretly delighted. I estimate that even if they don't get good results in the big hunting match, they are very likely to stay. A sea of clouds said confidently, "These disciples are very excellent. As mentors, it is a kind of attraction to be able to teach such disciples." Lu Chen smiled slightly. "I hope so too. If they can join the academy before the big hunting match, it will also be good for our result." A sea of clouds looked at Lu Chen. "Nameless, you are wrong. We are not young anymore. Although we are all immortal cultivators and have a much longer lifespan than ordinary people, if we don't step on the path of immortality, we will always be mortals. According to different races and planets, the lifespan of each person varies a lot. But in the end, we all have a limit." Lu Chen frowned. "Old C, I have something I don't understand. You and I don't need to be so polite. If there is anything you don't understand, just say it. I think most of the people from the 6th layer of heaven are young. Also, I have a good friend in the 5th layer of heaven. She is already more than 300 years old, but she still looks very young. Why are there so many seniors in the 6th layer of heaven?" A sea of clouds nodded slowly. "It seems that you really came from an unorthodox background. In fact, the lower the level, the easier it is to stay young. Do you know why?" Lu Chen shook his head. "Nameless, every time you break through, and I'm talking about breaking through a major realm, do you feel like you've been reborn?" Lu Chen hurriedly nodded. Although he had only broken through twice, that feeling was still fresh in his memory. "That's right. Every time one is reborn, one's physical skills can be improved. A person's age is nothing more than a number. The real way to determine whether a person is old or young is not by age, but by the body's functions. As long as you can break through in time, even if you are a few hundred years old, your body will still be in the state of a young man. But in the later stages, like us, Theo the Great, it is very difficult to break through small realms, let alone major realms. And with the passage of time, even if our physical bodies are far superior to ordinary people, we will eventually grow old." Lu Chen finally understood why there were so many elders in the 6th heaven. "Nameless, your physical body is in a very serious abnormal state, and our old age is an even more serious abnormal state. Even if we break through in the future, our upper limit is already lower than the young people. And because of this, Tian and the others thought of going into seclusion. There is no hope of breaking through. The 6th heaven is a sacred place for cultivation. However, the 6th heaven has another name. It is called the half-immortal tomb." A sea of clouds said, "Without entering the immortal sect, there are countless experts who have fallen in this heaven domain." Lu Chen couldn't help but widen his eyes. "This 6th heaven is really strange." "Oh right." A sea of clouds suddenly said, "I've told you so much, but there are two sides to the story. You can't look down on the older people. Although our physical bodies are in a state of decline, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Moreover, many top experts are still breaking through. The older the person, the more likely it is that his level is extremely high. He just needs more time to break through. It doesn't mean that he is in his old age and unable to fight. Once he breaks through, he will be full of energy again. You must remember this." Lu Chen frowned slightly. "Old C, if others don't provoke me, I won't look for trouble. But you also said that you have the opportunity to break through. Why don't you continue to cultivate now?" "Ha ha ha, cultivation is not that simple. At our level, one star is hundreds of thousands of spiritual energy. Firstly, it is limited by the distill scroll, and secondly, it is limited by the fighting soul's upper limit. It is not something that can be improved overnight." Lu Chen nodded. It seemed that in the 6th heaven, the fighting soul's upper limit on the body's attributes began to show. His fighting soul only had 4.5 million spiritual energy. Plus, he had the celestial demon origin cultivation method, so the speed of improvement was not slow. For a period of time, it should not limit his growth. But in order to not be limited by the fighting soul's attributes in the future, He still had to improve the fighting soul's spiritual energy when he had time. From a sea of clouds, Lu Chen understood that even if Etion and the others were willing to help in the big hunting match, the help they could provide was not particularly great. Old Sea, the big hunting match is in a few days. You have participated in it before. What do you think we need to pay attention to? I don't need to say more about demons and ghosts. The main thing to pay attention to is the other academies, said a sea of clouds. Although the big hunting match does not allow killing between academies, in order to compete for the rankings, the major academies will do anything. Traps along the way, leading powerful demons into the opponent's team, and other means are endless. There are only 50 people from each academy participating in the big hunting match, including the dean and mentors. Not only do we need to fight demons, but we also need to be wary of other academies. We are in the limelight now, and it is very likely that we will become the target of public criticism. Moreover, there are too many academies that are willing to be the pawns of the Purple Heaven Palace. With their support, I am afraid that it will not be strange if those academies directly attack us. The Purple Heaven Palace was forced to retreat by us, but they have not left the academy. It seems that they are waiting for an opportunity to attack. Lu Chen nodded. The people of the Purple Heaven Palace were cautious, and they did need to be extra vigilant. It seemed that this big hunting match was extremely dangerous. However, as the number of people in the academy increased, Lu Chen had to replenish the spiritual source of the artificial spiritual meridian as soon as possible. A sea of clouds also knew about Lu Chen's situation. Otherwise, he would definitely persuade Lu Chen to give up this big hunting match. Nameless, we need to be extra cautious. As for the rankings, in my opinion, whether we can fight for it or not is secondary. Lu Chen nodded. Okay, I know. During this time, we should focus on enrollment and then select 48 people to participate in the big hunting match. Okay, I will do the work of Etion and the others. I think they will join the academy sooner or later. Even if the combat power of us old bones is reduced, after all, our levels are still there. If we are there, it will be safer. Chapter 943. In the blink of an eye, there was only 1 day left before the big hunting match. The size of the demonic academy had expanded to 184 people. In addition to the secondary spiritual vein, the demonic academy had unsealed the mountain defense array, the sutra pavilion, some accommodation areas, and more teaching pavilions. The mountain defense array was still functioning normally. With the spiritual vein and the mountain defense array, the demonic academy could be regarded as a real academy. There were only some basic books in the sutra pavilion. The advanced techniques had already been auctioned to the major academies. The Sutra Pavilion was just a useless shell. There was also good news. After a sea of clouds fanned the flames left and right, the 4 mentors of Thoughtless Academy had agreed to join the Demonic Academy. After all, they were grateful to Lu Chen for saving the last dignity of the Academy of Thoughtless Academy. It was understandable for them to stay. Only Etion was still in a wait-and-see state. Early in the morning, as soon as Lu Chen went out, he found that the 4 mentors had already begun to organize the students for morning exercises. Morning exercises seemed to be a tradition of the Academy of Thoughtless Academy. The 4 mentors and a sea of clouds all maintained this habit. It was a little cold in the morning, but 200 students were already neatly sitting cross-legged in the martial arts practice field. Be calm, your heart is like still water, look at your heart and look at the sky. Big Dream Saiji read slowly. His voice was loud but extremely stable. There are stars in the sky, and people have elixirs. The stars are ethereal, and the elixirs are vast. Everything has aura, either like gossamer or like a tiger. Observe it with your heart, observe it, and guide the aura into the elixir for your own use. A sea of clouds saw Lu Chen and walked over. Are you leaving today? Lu Chen nodded. A sea of clouds said, "There are not many people in our academy. Others can watch the battle in the fantasy map. I have already arranged the participants. Thousand Stone Bao, Long Xiang, me, and Etian. Etian will go with us as a guest. The other 45 people, according to the ranking of the test results, the worst is 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Lanji and Saiji will lead the other disciples to watch the battle." Lu Chen took a deep breath. "All right, since it's our first time participating in an activity, it's not a bad idea to go together. In any case, the Academy has the Great Protective Mountain Array, so there's no need to worry about losing anything. After the morning exercise, let's set off together." Not long after, the morning training ended. There were exactly 190 people in whatever academy. 184 students, 6 instructors, and a guest instructor, Etian, stepped on the journey to the Nether Prison Big Hunt. On the way, the disciples who were not participating in the competition activated soul and body as one and summoned 3 mounts to carry all the teachers and students of the academy. "Junior brother, where did you get this heaven-shaking roar? I want one too." Xiao Zhan patted his junior brother's shoulder. In just a few days, this fellow had already become familiar with everyone in the academy. "Senior brother, don't tease me. I know you have better things. I really don't have one. Let me tell you, I think I got my mount from a level 2. It's outdated. Senior martial brother, if I tell you this, will you bring me to the Heavenly Beast Mountain to get Mount Spirit pills in the future?" "That's nothing. When I'm strong enough, I'll bring you with me. By the way, I also want to improve my Purple Tail Elite Guards." Lu Chen also wanted to ask where the Heavenly Beast Mountain was and whether his 9 wings could be improved. However, a sea of clouds and the others were discussing tactics with him, so they didn't have time for now. "Nameless, when the competition starts, we need to choose the path. When the time comes, we'll take this path." A sea of clouds pointed at a small path on the map. "You can't fly in the Nether Prison, so you can only walk. This path is rugged and narrow. If you enter this path first, almost no one will dare to follow you. Yes, because they're afraid that we'll set traps or something. Moreover, this path leads directly to District 8, so it's very convenient." Lu Chen frowned slightly. "Such a good path. Won't everyone fight for it? That's for sure." In the big hunting match, the first segment is also called Student Paving the Way. Each academy will send a disciple with the teleportation array issued by the big hunting match. After this student chooses the best teleportation point, the other students can directly teleport to that location. If our paving student can reach this path first, as long as we teleport in time, the people behind will have to choose other paths. Lu Chen nodded, then raised his head and looked at the students who were chatting together. All the participants in the competition were on the same mount, so it was easy to find people. Lu Chen asked loudly, "Hey, stop chatting. Let me ask you, who can take the first place in paving the way? There's a job so soon? Are you going? If not, I'll do it. Why are you so insensible? Senior martial brother hasn't said anything yet. Sit down." Grey Crow was a little hesitant. He knew very well that each academy would send out strong students. But on their side, the mission of the 3 heroes was still very important. The main task was to hunt monsters. If they used soul-body fusion while paving the way, it would certainly have a big impact on the future hunt. Grey Crow stood up. "Paving the way is a competition of speed, but we also have to save our strength for the later hunt. Who doesn't use soul-body fusion? Do you have the confidence to be stronger than others? If they didn't use soul-body fusion, it would not be so easy to win." At this time, more than 30 people suddenly stood up. "Senior martial brother, I can try. Senior martial brother, I have confidence." Grey Crow was speechless. What kind of people were these? They said they wouldn't use soul-body fusion, but the result was as if they didn't say anything. When other academies said that they wanted to participate in paving the way, everyone lowered their heads. These people were more stubborn than the other. If he wasn't an old disciple, he really couldn't mix with them. Cuckoo, that's not it. Can you not be so enthusiastic? The other academies want to participate in paving the way. I think they are all old disciples. If they think their movement techniques aren't as good as mine, then they shouldn't participate this time. With a reference, it was much easier. Everyone had been comparing notes in the past few days, so these fellows had some confidence in their hearts. Finally, 7-8 people sat down. Bai almost burst out laughing on the side. Senior Marshall brother, there are still over 20 junior Marshall brothers and sisters who think their movement techniques are better than yours. Hey, each and every one of you, it seems like I've been too gentle. Don't you know that your senior Marshall brother's movement technique is very strong? Gray Crow gritted his teeth. I can't stand you all. You can see for yourselves. Of the people standing, those who don't think they are the strongest can sit down. This move was very useful. After comparing with each other, the disciples began to sit down. In the end, there were only 3 people left: Chu Tian, Xiao Zhan, and Yi Fan. The 3 of them looked at each other and began to calculate in their hearts. If they were to compete in movement techniques with these 2 fellows, who would be stronger? Then no one sat down. Gray Crow also had a headache. He could only helplessly look at Lu Qin. Lu Qin revealed a faint smile. Geniuses, how could they be called geniuses if they weren't confident? If he was a student, he would also be standing right now. How about this? This is only the first segment. The later part of the hunt is the most important. Chu Tian, you have a steady way of doing things. We will strive to be steady in the first segment. You can go. Yes, Principal. Chu Tian winked at Xiao Zhan and Yi Fan, then ran over to Lu Qin and the other teachers. Chu Tian came over. Lu Qin asked, "Do you know the rules?" Senior Marshall brother told us before, so we know the rules. We should be taking the path to Area 8. Lu Qin nodded in satisfaction. Chu Tian was indeed worthy of being called Chu Tian. He was very steady. Can we take it? Lu Qin asked. Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. It's already in the bag. On the side, Yi Tian witnessed the entire process of selection. It was very casual. It was hard to imagine that the other academies would carefully consider and compare the left and right academies to pave the way. But when it came to the demonic academy, they just casually chose one. This is also possible? Can these fellows win? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.